a big son of a gun. He was enormous.
What year? 07, 08?
I don't know.
Trying to remember.
07.
Morley?
What's his name?
Well, there was Steve Morley was.
No, he was with me in Saskatchewan, not him. No, he was a pretty good player. This guy he had a ball head. His wife was a waitress at Chops, or girlfriend was. He ended up doing some of the radio stuff after. Oh, I can't remember. Well, I looked at him. He says, "I'll translate it for you, Coach."
Oh man,
I don't know who that would have been.
I can't remember that kid's name. I got to get pull up a 2007 Winnipeg roster. He was a big guy.
was it Alex Gauthier?
Oh, go.
No, not Coach J. He was the left tackle. Like, that was before him. He was the left tackle. Left guard was with that. Dominic and Avi were at the center spot, and the right guard.
Oh. Tattoos on his calf muscles.
Sheridan.
Yeah.
Sheridan, that's it.
Yeah.
Sheridan.
Yeah.
Sheridan, he goes.
Gibby, you probably had him at one point.
Gibby knows him. Gibby had him for a long time, right?
I'll translate it for you, Coach.
Oh, I had all those guys at one time. You're right.
Yeah.
Dan Goodspeed. No, he was the right tackle, and the right guard. God, what was his name?
It was Toronto.
No, that was
Is that okay?
Winnipeg. I was talking about Winnipeg, and that the right guard came from. I think he came from Hamilton.
Kyle Koch.
What's his name?
Koch.
Koch. It was the year after, I think.
Yeah, it might have been him.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad line. You know what I mean? Then after we went to the Grey Cup my first year, and then we went to the championship game my second year. We got beaten, and they fired Doug. I said, "You wouldn't be kidding me. I can fire you." Right? So then I'm waiting, and they hire a guy named Mike Kelly. Right? So I'm kind of thinking, okay, I'll just wait around and see if he wants to hire me. I stayed there 4 weeks. 4 weeks. I kept going into the office, and he wouldn't come in and talk to me. Oh, I said, "Now with this," I started to pack up my stuff. I'm getting out of here. Right? And then he comes in and says, "Oh," he said, I know I got somebody in line for the job, blah, blah. I said, "Why don't you tell me that 4 weeks? You don't let the guy go. Let the guy go so he has a chance to go." Right? So I go. So I get over. Matter of fact, I get a call from Saskatchewan. What the hell is that? Eric Tillman. Right? And he said, "I'd like you to come over here." I said, "You got a line coach." He said, "Yeah, but I know he's going to go to Hamilton." And I think it was Mike Gibson. It was Mike Gibson. Right? He said, "He's going to go to Hamilton. He's going to be offensive coordinator in Hamilton." I said, "Eric, I'm not doing that." I said, I'm not doing that. He said, No, I'm serious. Come over, and I want to talk to you because I know he's going to get the job in Hamilton. I know this. Right? I said, that's not right. I said, that's not right. Wait till he goes. He's going to go, he goes, right? So they said, so then I get another call. He says, "Okay, he's leaving. He's going. I said, "Okay." So I go over there. Who do I run into? Mike. I said, "What the fuck? That's not right." That wasn't right. Oh, fuck. That shit happens.
Rick, you want to do the intro?
Sure. All righty, everybody. Welcome to a special night or special Sunday night episode here. I feel like it's like a Christmas or something here when we get to stay up a little later and tune in on a Sunday evening. We got a special guest. Paul Charbonneau and I have been putting some stuff together for the last number of months here, and many of the guys on the call have joined us over the past few weeks. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces and some new names chiming in here. But one of our guys that's been joining us the last number of weeks is Coach Bob Wylie, and Paul Charbonneau had the great opportunity to mentor underneath Coach Wylie, and as Paul and I chat every week after we end one meeting, we start planning another, and we thought it'd be pretty cool. Coach Wylie's got quite a bit of experience and a real historian, and I think the best way to always understand and learn more about football is kind of the origins and to learn from the people that have gone before us. So tonight we're going to kind of open this up. I think Paul's got us going on YouTube Live, so definitely hit the like button, put your questions and comments in the section. Paul, keep an eye on the YouTube and questions, and we've got some guys on the call that are going to actually ask Coach Wylie some stuff as well. So at this point, I think we're going to open it up. And Paul, anything you want to chime in of the years you've got to spend with Coach Wylie?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of the stories, been part of some of them, so I've had a great time. And I forget sometimes when when we're doing our meetings and guys ask Coach Wylie questions and stuff that Sweeter just jumped on. Hey, Sweet.
Hey, man.
I'll mute you. You got background noise. That you guys don't necessarily always have access to Coach Wylie, even though he's a guy that'll pick up his phone and help you out with whatever you need from him and stuff. But we just thought that this would be a great night to let people ask questions, whether it's about his career path or blocking or anything like that. We just thought it would be an open Q&A and then let you guys just ask whatever you wanted at that point. And I know Jeff's got a great question to start with. So Jeff, go ahead, kick it off.
Thanks, Paul. Well, Coach Wylie, as a coach myself and O-line coach specifically, I've always wanted to know how you see the journey evolving for coaches and how we can progress from perhaps that kind of youth level to more of an intermediate youth sports, and then beyond that. And maybe if you could share what your journey was like, or what the journey can be like for many kind of coaches out there that kind of want to follow similar footsteps.
There's all different kind. I've been very fortunate. I really have in my career, and I got to be around some really good football coaches, okay, and really good people. Not only football coaches, they were good people first, and then they were good football coaches. You know what I mean? That would help you. They would take time and they would spend time with you because you didn't know, all right, and you wanted to learn, and so they helped teach me as I started. And I had really no aspirations of being a professional football coach. I didn't have that at all, right? You know what I mean? I got out of college, I was a player, right? And I got done, and I went back to my old high school where I graduated from, okay? And I was teaching economics and U.S. history, okay? And so as I was teaching, they were starting a youth football program in the community, right? So they came to me and said, "Hey, would you like to help us?" I said, "Yeah, I'll help you out." So I used to go to practice, Pop Warner football practice, and now I'm learning how to coach. I had know nothing about coaching. So I'm trying to coach the kids. It's probably some of the best coaching that I've done in my career was coaching those guys, because they know absolutely nothing. The slate is clean. You know what I mean? I was happy when they broke the huddle and the center went to the ball and the right guard went to the right guard spot and the left guard went, and so on and so forth. I said, "Hey, that's pretty good. I got it." I had them going that far.
No bad habits yet.
Going to the right people. I mean, going to the right spots anyway. Now I get them on the right people. That's another story. But anyway, when you coach the guys that are first round draft picks and third round draft picks, and you had them for a number of years, that really they're easier to coach. They really are. It's those guys that are coaching the youth football. God bless those guys. That was a challenge for me to do that. It really was. And then I would coach those guys at night, right? And then the junior high school guy, who actually was one of my coaches at high school, right, asked me if I could help out at the junior high school level. So I said, yeah. So after school, I'd help the junior high school guys, right? And then I'd go home and eat dinner, and then I'd go down to Pop Water Field and help those guys, right? So that's how it kind of all started. And so as I started, because I brought up as a teacher, right? So as I started, that's why when you see stuff that I have, okay? You guys can have any of the stuff I have, and I think Shabs has stole most of it from me anyway. Okay, so when you look at some of this stuff, okay, I actually give all this stuff to my players. Okay, here's one that's based just on teaching. Okay, so, are you a good teacher? So I put this together, all based on teaching. All right, so that's a handout, right? To other guys, other coaches, right? And I got another one, time management. They don't know how to manage their time. So you have to teach them how to manage their time. All right, I got another one. This is a favorite one. It's called mindset. Okay, you guys can have any of this stuff. I don't mind. You can have any of this stuff I got. Okay, all right. It's mindset because you talk to the kids. Everybody on this call has used the term mindset. We gotta have a mindset today, guys. Let's go. Let's have a mindset today. And nobody actually tells the kid what it is. There's a kid saying they have a mindset. He has no idea what the mindset is, what it means. He doesn't know the definition of mindset. So and I got this one. This is a real good one. Barriers of communication. You got to learn how to communicate, guys. 80% of the game is communication, right? I want them to learn the barriers that you have in communication in the classroom with other coaches, during the game, all that stuff, okay? I got film study criteria. How do you study film? How do you actually study film? What are you looking for? Because even at the pro level, you get guys, they don't know how to study film. Unconscious confidence, that's a big one. Okay, the art of learning a new skill. How do you learn a new skill? Don't you think? I ask everybody at clinics, okay? I got another one, coaching philosophy. Okay, how do what do you do? One of the best ones in my coaching philosophy book, it says, leave it in the office, don't bring it home. Okay, leave it in the office. And it says, don't tell your wives anything because wives talk. You know what I mean? So if you go home and you say, hey, and you say, yeah, that friggin' secondary coach, he's an asshole. I don't like working with that son of a bitch. Right? Well, then she tells one of the other wives, and the next thing you know, that wife tells his wife. Right? Now it gets really fucked up. Well, you don't do that, guys. So one of the things is, don't tell your wife shit, because she's going to repeat it to somebody that you want to repeat it to.
So, Coach, I guess just to go a different direction, do you know any coaches at either the youth sport or the next level that were not actually players themselves at college or university?
Yeah, I never played pro football.
Is that right? Okay.
Never played pro football. I got out of college. I got the job teaching. I went to Bob Wylie Junior High School. And then the guy in high school that actually was the head football coach that coached me, okay, he asked me to help him. Right. So then I was coaching at high school level now. So when I got to that level, the lower levels, I would ask the high school coaches about things I needed to know how to do it. You know what I mean? What is the best way? Right. Then I started to go to football clinics. Right. And then I got to be a high school football coach. And I coached that with West Warwick, North Kingston, Cranston East, and LaSalle Academy, 4 different high schools. Okay. And I would go to all these clinics, the Glazier clinics. It was, the Boston College Spring Clinic, the URI Clinic. So I would just travel around visiting these guys, these clinics, and I'd learn. And at that time, I would take a cassette tape recorder, okay, and my pad, and I would record everybody that spoke, and I draw the diagrams that they had, right? Then I come back and I transpose it on the typewritten sheets and stuff and draw all the diagrams in. Then I put the tape with the papers in a manila folder with the name of the guy, and I put it in my filing cabinet. I have literally hundreds of them going back 45 plus years. Okay. Those type of things that I think you need to do that. You have a passion for the game. and you go follow your passion for the game. Go find the answers. You know, some guys are going to have different answers. It doesn't matter. Find what fits you best. You know, and I was just fortunate enough when I can't remember, I was a junior, I was probably a high school coach at the time, right? I ran into a guy at the Boston College football clinic named Jim McNally. Jimmy was the line coach at Boston College. He had just come from Marshall University. Matter of fact, he was at Marshall the year after the plane crashed. He was on that next staff, right? Then he went from there to Boston College, right? So I got friendly with Jimmy. I was trying to figure out, because I didn't know, guys, I really didn't know how to put the blocking rules, you know, the plays, the blocking rules. I didn't know how to do that. You know what I mean? So I ran into Jimmy. I went, you know, and he was giving his speech, and I said, well, that guy's a pretty smart guy. So I went up to him after I introduced myself. I said, hey, I need some help with this. He said, come back next week, like on a Friday. So I did that. So I went back and I spent the whole day with Jimmy. We put all the runs to write the rules. And back then, probably some of my, I heard Mike talk the other night, did a wonderful job. You know, uncovered, covered, you know, the covered guy does this, the uncovered guy does this, the covered guy does this. You know what I mean? So it was kind of that similar deal. It was more like in, on, out, linebacker. In, no, on, yeah. Back, block that guy, out. Oh yeah, block that guy, linebacker, go block, you know, there was stuff like that, you know, so we got them all the rules, okay? And we got the protections, the rules, okay? So now, as I go back and I'm coaching high school football, Jimmy goes to Wake Forest. By that time, right, I got a chance to go to Brown University, my first college job. I got a call, back then there was no recruiting services. Back then you had to go turn over all the rocks. Right, so I had a defensive coordinator at Harvard University. God rest his soul, he passed away a few years back. A guy named Ted O'Neill, when he was recruiting, he'd come and see me. And I would tell him, there's nobody here, there's nobody there. Look at this guy. There's a guy at that school over there. There's a guy over here. You know what I mean? So I would send him to the places where I thought there were players that could play for him, or play for the school. Right, so it saved him a lot of legwork. So he came in my office one day, and I was, because they had since moved me from teaching into school administration, and I hated it. You based all the money spent based on whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, and that was in the best interest of the kids. That drove me crazy. I couldn't stand that. Right. So he said, hey, what's the matter? And I told him, he says, how did you try coaching in college? I said, okay, sounds good. You know, it's the guys, how many guys tell you that, and then you never hear from them again? You know, I hate that when guys do that to you. I never do that to anybody. Okay, you want me to make a phone call? I'm going to make a phone call. You need a letter of recommendation? I'm going to write it for you. Right? I don't. So I get a call in spring, and it was the head coach at Brown University. He says, I understand that you'd like to interview for a position I have. I said, yeah. Can you come down on Thursday or Friday? I said, yeah. So I went down for the interview. At the end of the day, he offers me the job. So, oh my God. Right now, it's a part-time job. It used to have part-time coaches similar to that, restricted earnings coaches. So it was a part-time job. So I took the job. You know, I took the job, and I would go, I'd work, and I'd go down there and I'd coach and spend most of the nights down there. Okay. And then the next year, I got hired full-time. Okay. And then I went from Brown University, right? I went to Holy Cross College. From Holy Cross College, I went to OU, Ohio University. Then I went from there to Colorado State, right? And then make a long story short, I eventually ended up with the Bengals. And what happened when Jimmy was at Wake Forest, I go down and visit Jimmy, right? And then I go back to where I was. So Jimmy leaves Wake Forest and he gets a job at the Cincinnati Bengals with Forrest Gregg, right? So I'm at my office, the phone rings, and it's Jimmy. He says, hey, so I just got the playbook from Forrest Gregg. I said, yeah. He says, listen to these plays. 38 U smash, 49 MUO, 37 HA power, 46 HB, 27 AO, same plays that I had taken to him, okay, when I was coaching high school football. Same plays, right? Because my high school football coach played for the Chicago Bears, right? And George Hallis was the head coach. So somewhere along the line, Vince Lombardi stole the stuff from George Hallis. George Hallis was first, not Vince, right? George Hallis founded the National Football League, right? So he says, hey, you got to get to Cincinnati. I said, what? He said, you got to come out here. I said, okay. So I go out to Cincinnati, and I spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I was going to go back on a Monday. So I go in the office, right, and sitting and talking. He said, hey, wait a minute. So he goes and talks to Paul Brown, and he goes and talks to Forrest Gregg, and he comes back. He says, hey, he said, you come to the mini camps, you could come to training camps. Oh my God. Right. So for 9 years, whatever it was, okay, I would go to all the mini camps with the Bengals, and I would go right to all the practices with the Bengals in the preseason, all preseason games. Okay. And then eventually they said, son of a pain in the ass, okay, right, we're going to hire the guy. So that's how my journey got me into pro football, right? And I got tangled up with Sam Weiss, okay? And then Sam also went to the Jets, and I went to the Jets with Bruce, right? And then I had, at that time, after my second year with the Jets, I got 4 job offers in the NFL. I could have stayed with the Jets. Dick Steinberg got rest his soul, offered me a 3-year contract to stay, right? Joe Bugle, who I really wanted to coach for, he just passed away last year, I believe, right? And Joe was at Arizona, and he offered me a job in Arizona. Actually, he offered me 2 when he was at Arizona and Oakland. I turned him on both times, right? And then Sam Weiss offers me a job because he got the Tampa Bay job, right? So I'd already been with Sam. I had the same offense with Coslet at the Jets. So I went with Sam, okay, down in Tampa Bay. It was the same offense. I didn't have to learn anything new, right? And Sam hired me first before I had any coordinators or anybody on defense. He hired me first, and don't ever do this when you head coaches. Google put me with the owner of the Cardinals, and he proceeds to tell me why he never wants to go to the Super Bowl because it costs too much money. I said, why do I want to come here? It's the first thing that came into my head, right? As much as I love Joe Bugle and wanted to work for Joe so I could learn from Joe, right? I said, nah, this is not the place for me, right? So I went to Tampa Bay with Sam, and I ended up back at the Bengals with Coslet, and then I ended up at the Bears, okay, with Dick Duran. Now, all those guys I just told you about, they all have ties in with Paul Brown and Bill Walsh. They either work for Coach Brown, excuse me, I didn't mean that coach. They either work for Coach Brown, right? Or they played or worked for Bill Walsh. So I was in that circle with those guys of how to do it, I would say, for years. I don't know how many years that was, 82, 83, it was a lot of years. Okay, maybe it was 81. Okay, so I was with those guys until 1994. In 2004, excuse me. In 2004, right, that was the first time that I was out of that system, okay, with those guys. It was 2004. I ended up going to the Cardinals. So I had to learn a whole new system, which was good for me at the Cardinals. All right. And then we got fired at the Cardinals. Okay. And I was between jobs. I ended up with a job at Syracuse. And I spent 2 years at Syracuse. All right. And then I got a call, where did I go from Syracuse? I can't remember. Anyway, I ended up with Winnipeg. That might have been it. I ended up going to Winnipeg. Okay. And then from Winnipeg, I spent 2 years there, and then I spent a year in Saskatchewan. Okay. And then, from Syracuse, I think I ended up, I worked the other way. I have to look up my own bio because I don't remember. But I went up to Canada. I know I went up to Winnipeg, right? And then I went to Saskatchewan. And then from Saskatchewan, I went to the Broncos. And then from the Broncos, I went to the Raiders. Okay. And then from the Raiders, okay, I went to, where did I go from the Raiders? Okay. I went, that's when I went to to the Browns. Okay, and then I got hurt. Okay, and then I spent 2019. I was helping a high school football coach. Okay, because I had dislocated my right ankle, I broke my right leg. Okay, and tore up my left knee. So I had 2 operations in 16 hours. Okay, and I was bedridden, couldn't get out of bed for 8 weeks in the hospital. And then I spent 102 days in the hospital total. And then another 68 more days as an outpatient rehab, my legs until I went from the bed to the wheelchair to the walker to the cane, and now I don't have any of that stuff. So that was a journey in itself. Okay, but to ask you how I got in, it was just a passion for the game. I just kept learning everything I could learn, okay, from coach to coach, and I was a pest. Any bit of information that I could gather, okay, I'd go get, and I wasn't afraid to fail. I think if I can give you guys anything, I think people in life don't think big enough because they're afraid to fail, right? They get in this little security world and they're afraid to make the move. They get married, they get a house, they get a car, they got 2.3 kids, 2 goldfish, a cat and a dog, a rabbit. Now they're afraid to make the move. How am I going to afford this? How am I going to do this? Instead of, don't worry about that stuff. You want to go do it. Okay. If it doesn't work out, go do something else. I was a corporate pilot. I could do that. I could fly airplanes. I could teach high school. I played the drums in a band. There was a point in my life where I was teaching high school, right? Coaching high school football, playing the drums in a band, okay, right? And flying corporate jets. And I was having a blast. And for whatever reason, football took over. Football took over because every day there was a new problem to solve. Every day there's a challenge. Every day it challenges you when you go into the office. That was really appealing to me. And I'm still learning now. You know what I mean? I'm still learning as we sit here. Different things from different guys. I learned stuff from Mike the other night. You know what I mean? I'm saying, hey, that's a pretty good idea. So it never stops. The game never stops. When you think you know everything, right? I get that my side. The problem with knowing everything is you can't learn anything new. That sign's in my office. So so that's how I got from Pop Warner football to pro football, because my high school football coach played for George Hallis, the Chicago Bears, for 5 years. Back in the 40s, they were in the 1946 World Championship, Chicago Bears. He was on that team. Okay, he won a number or so. I was very fortunate and I think coming up that way, coming up through all the levels, it really gives you a really different perspective of the game. I wasn't a former player, and it's to say, hey, somebody want a job? No, I didn't do that. Okay, I had to start from the beginning, not knowing how to coach, to learn how to coach, to learn the game, to learn all the aspects of the game. You know what I mean? To try to find out as much as I can to get my own style of coaching. It's probably different than some of the other guys. Okay, I really believe this. I really wholeheartedly believe this. There's some guys that yell and scream at the players. I don't do that. Once in a while, I'll jump their ass. But if I'm yelling at them, I ain't teaching them. Okay, I don't do that. Okay, Coach Brown told me one time, teach them, don't tell them. Teach them. I was coming off the field one time and he says, hey, I said, when he called you over, you get a little nervous. He said, hey, I said, what's up? He said, they don't know when you're mad at them. I said, what? He said, they don't know when you're mad at them. You yell at them all the time. They don't know when you're mad at them. So, oh my God, I never thought of it like that. You know what I mean? And then I kind of figured out as I went along that the chemistry that you create in your meeting room is more important than any of the X's and O's. The last thing I do with my guys are the X's and the O's. That's the last thing I do. I do how we're going to build a room, what's going to be like in the room. And my room, the way it's constructed, is a lot different than anybody else's. I'll tell you right now, it's a whole different ballgame when you walk in that room the way it's put together. You know what I mean? So to go back, regress a little bit, you know what I mean? My dad brought me and my brother up, don't be afraid to fail. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So if you feel like you want to go coach college football, go do that. Don't worry about it, just go do it. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work out, you know, it doesn't work out.
Absolutely. Well, thanks very much, Coach. And you know, we're all here. We're all students of the game, and that's why we're here. And we
You
all
know? So that's how it
respect
kind
and
of that's how
appreciate
it
your
kind
time.
of started for me. You know,
Awesome.
think you can. You know, like all these things, everybody will pick up something from any of these things that you go to. I don't care.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what it is that you pick up, that you may be able to use someplace. And I
For
feel,
sure.
you know, and I feel that guys help me, and it's only fitting for me to help other guys. That's the way I look at it. I didn't get here by myself. You know, that didn't happen. I had, you know, McNally. I had Bugle was helping me, Hannafin, you know, Howard Mudd for years with Howard, years. Always with Howard and Jimmy. You know, Paul Boudreau. There was a lot of guys that were Larry Bechtel. You know, there's a mess of guys that helped me in my career. You know, and here's what I find out. Guys try to, how many guys stay in there and you try to figure out the answer by yourself? Okay? You sit there and you're trying to figure out the answer. How am I going to do this? I'm going to change. I'm going to try to invent this. Okay, I'm going to try to do something, you know, differently that makes it, what? That's fine. You do that. You know, if I'm having a problem with something, you know, I'm going to pick up the phone and call one of my buddies and say, hey, how the fuck do you handle this shit? Well, this is what we think about. Okay, thanks a lot. You know, that's, you know, why waste 3 hours trying to figure it out? You know, where somebody may have the answer for you. That's what I tell the guys that come to my clinic, everybody that's been to my clinic. If you have a problem with something and you need an answer for it, right? There's 400 guys sitting in this room, guys. Somebody in this room is going to have the answer or give you some direction to go in to get it. You know, if you don't get your question or your problem answered or solved, that's your fault. You didn't work hard enough. Next. I hope I didn't mess anybody up with all that short story there, but that's how it kind of took place. And through the career, I ended up working for really good football coaches. You know, some places we won, some places we didn't win, but you know, all that stuff, you know, it takes everybody. It's not just the players and the coaches. It takes everybody in the organization to be going in the same one heartbeat.
So Coach Mike, if you wanted to unmute yourself, you had a question. And then after that, there'll be Coach Delmonico, I think, had a question.
Yes, thank you, Coach. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just for Coach Wylie, big fan. Got to know you during the Cleveland Browns. Big Browns fan myself. For a service member who's 5 years away from retirement, what kind of degree or path should I pursue if I want to be a college coach, high school coach, and have some success?
I think it doesn't matter the degree, as long as you can land the degree. I think now a lot of the high school coaches, some of them don't even work in the school system, but they need to get certified. Somebody can correct me on that. So you need to get certified to go coach high school football, some type of certification to do that. I think a lot of the colleges now, right, you need some type of degree. It doesn't make any difference what the degree is. It really doesn't, okay? So whatever degree you get, okay, right, you got that degree, it'll help you get hired in college. The best thing, right, and it really doesn't matter how good a football coach you are, it kind of matters how much you know, or who you know, excuse me. It really comes down to who you know, okay? That's the way it is nowadays. Years ago, it wasn't. Years ago, you know, they interview 4 or 5 guys, and then they'd hire the guy, right, that they thought best fit the chemistry or best fit the staff. They hire that guy. They don't do that anymore. You just pick up a phone and hire a guy over the phone. Doesn't go for the interview. That's why you're going to get 5, 6, 7 NFL jobs open up every year. You know, because they don't hire the best guys. They think they do, but they don't. Right? And then they end up getting a butt fight. So what did that happen? Right? Well, you know, hire the best coaches, hire the best teachers. You know, that helps. Is it always help? No, but it's better that you hire those guys than the guys that can't teach. It'll be worse. But to answer your question, yeah, in high school football, I think you need some type of certification in the States. I'm not sure what it is in Canada. And I think you need a degree to coach college football, okay, in the States. So if I'm wrong with that, somebody can correct me on that. So I would.
And there's athletic programs in the U.S. too that encourage hiring former service members too. So if you put messages out on that, some guys might be able to help you with that. Coach Delmonico, you're up next.
Well, thanks for having me on there. Coach Wylie, I got a 5-man pro question for you. Okay. Do you have any experience with having the call side guard, 5-man pro, free release in the tailback from the backfield? The call side guard runs the man side double read, not the tackle. So you're facing a team that does not peel their D end. Their D end is going to continue on a double dog. Do you have any experience with utilizing the guard to run the double read?
Pat, is he covered or uncovered?
He's going to be covered. Let's say you decide what technique. That's kind of where I want to start with you. If you have any experience with it, where there's certain fronts where you checked out of it, where you weren't going to let that read occur.
What we went to at one time, Pat, and especially, you know, when we played Zimmer, okay, because they would double mug on those 4-2 defenses, okay? So what we would do is we immediately would send them back out of the backfield right now. As soon as they walked up and got the A-gaps, right, we would send them back out of the backfield right now. Go line up wherever you're going to run your route. Just get over there, okay? Because they had to take one of those guys out. And if they didn't, that tells you what's going to happen, okay? So now how do you set? Some guys, most guys would try to soft set, but the man side that's opposite where the center's going. Okay, so those guys have 2 for 3, right? Is what you're talking about. Okay, and so you try to soft set it, and then the linebacker that's coming, okay, well, I always had those guys count the steps. Okay, like there's a timing involved for that guy because, right, if he takes 2 steps and drops out of there, 2 steps and drops out of there. If he takes the 3rd step, he's probably coming, guys. Okay, but if they can't actually count the steps, okay, but we're trying to get a timing off the film, okay, as they, you know, how far can he go into the line of scrimmage when you're backing up, okay, because he's going to get back out underneath and cover, okay, so there's a timing involved with that, Pat, that they know he ain't coming anymore. Now, right, guys got to try to school you, you know, start 2 steps, stop, look like they're going to drop and then come. Okay, and they get you. What we used to do sometimes to answer your question, trying to answer your question, take the tackle, and we would just block the tackle down on the guy on the guard. Just block down on the guy. If you want to go post on down, you can go post on down. Okay, or just go block the guy down. Okay, and then we take the guard and put the guard on the molly between the backer and the defensive end. And if the defensive end dropped and they sent the boundary half or whatever, okay, you can pick up that guy. So just block your tackle down on the guy on the guard and let the guard have the double read. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, we used to do that.
Yeah, but I guess my question is, Bob, is keeping the play side tackle aggressive. So allowing the play side tackle, he doesn't go to that. He's not involved in the double read. The only person that's running the double read is the guard. That's why I was asking, do you have any experience with that? Because what I'm noticing now is more and more teams verse double dogs who do not peel ends. And again, I agree with you in that the easy answer is to motion the backfield out early, but the back cannot leave early. He has to leave from the backfield. In that scenario, what I'm noticing is there's teams. It's funny you said Minnesota because Brett Jones, who played for me, played at Minnesota. And one of the protections they're going to is this soft set with the guard to run the double read. And that play side tackle is staying aggressive on the C-gap player. And they're double reading it. So that's why I was wondering, Bob, if you had any experience with that specifically. So leaving the tackle on and having the guard handle it on the double read only. So they were kind of like falling into, so they were level setting back and then falling into whoever the faster of the two rushers were. So if you had a 3 and an A-gap mug, he split them and then fell into the one that was coming the quickest.
Rick Dennison, that's the guy that I coach at the Minnesota Vikings, right? Rick Dennison played for Alex and helped Alex. He was Alex's assistant and special. He would coach the special teams and he'd go help Alex with the offensive line, okay, at Denver. Years ago when Alex was at Denver, when he had all those good running teams, okay? That's what Alex would do. He would soft set the guard, okay, right? And then he would he may throw the 3 technique, right? And then if the inside linebacker come, then he'd go hit the linebacker. So he would soft set that guard, right? And then read the backer, okay? But he's got his intentions, I'm going to get a hand on the 3 technique, okay? But I'm fine going to look at this backer's going to do. If he comes at the snap of the ball, I'm going to throw the 3, okay, and then hit the linebacker. All right. So
if you flipped them and it was a 2-eye and a B-gap mug, would you treat the B-gap mug as the new 3 and throw him out, fall back into the 2-eye?
Same thing. You're gonna be aware of the B-gap mug guy, okay? But you've got to get a hand on the big guy. You got to get something on the big guy. Alex always says, throw the big guy, push the big guy, and then go block the backer.
Okay, so if it's a 2-eye with a B-gap mug, you're throwing the 2-eye inside,
right?
Then snapping back out for the B.
And then snapping back out, and you're going to be soft when you do that.
Yeah,
you got to get some depth away from the line of scrimmage. Alex was doing that. Oh God, whatever they had those great backs back then.
How far? So when you're level setting them back and you're soft setting them back, what did you give them? A yard? Like, what's your thought process on that? How far you got to give them?
Well, I just let him. The thought process on that for Alex, okay, because I didn't screw with it that much, okay. The soft, I can just tell you what Alex did, okay. The soft set for Alex was you come back until you decide who's the most dangerous guy.
Okay.
You come back until you decide, hey, I'm going to hit this guy, and then I'm going to snap on that guy. Now, let's just say you set soft, right? And you're going to set up because they only use 18-inch splits. Their splits were tight, okay? Right. So now, okay, you're setting back, and the defensive tackle, right, is the most dangerous guy. Okay. Well, you're going to probably stay in that guy, especially, okay, if the quarterback's on the center. Whoever that A-gap player is, if the quarterback's on the center, because there wasn't much gap, shotgun stuff back in those days. Right? The quarterback was on the center. Those guys were playing on the center. Right? So whoever the most dangerous guy was, you're going to get your hand on that guy. You're going to throw him, punch him, do something, and get back to the other guy. So to come back, I would say 2 yards in that area somewhere. Find out the most dangerous guy is for the kid. It's going to change for you.
Mm-hmm.
All rushes are going to be different. Some guys are going to be faster. Some guys are going to be slower. All right. Some guys are going to be quicker. You know what I mean? So as you're coming, and you're going to make a decision. I'm going to throw that guy and then try to get that guy. No.
How did you treat,
how fast is the ball? How fast is the ball getting out?
Well, we're treating it as hot.
Timing? Huh?
We're treating it as hot. So the ball is coming out.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the whole theory, is from what I'm understanding right now in my low level of understanding of the concept right now. It's because you have inbreakers. That's why you're trying to keep the DN's hands down, because you have inbreakers just outside of them. So that's how it's all tying together. But my next question, then the last part of it here was if you've got a, whatever you call it, triple front, eagle front, or jam front, whatever, however you want to term it. How did you apply the rules to that?
We just blocked it solid. Okay, we had a solid dual, or we had a solid, because if those guys would drop out of it, somebody's going to have to do tackles are on a trolley. Okay, right. One side or the other side's going to have the remaining backer.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying within the concept of the guard. So within that concept, did you know what he was thinking within that same concept of the guard running the double duel?
Oh, it would be the
And
same
have
if
it-
if your A gap was threatened, that guard would do the same thing.
But what if it's the other side? Do you
The other guy would
automatically?
do it.
So
The
you
other
would
guy do it.
automatically do it. You wouldn't incorporate the center.
Yeah. The other guy would do it. You know,
Okay.
The guy on the call side may not have it. The guy on the other side may have it.
Okay.
But everybody knows, I'm not telling anything you don't know, right? But communication with those 5 guys, you know how important it is. They're all talking.
Yeah.
You know, they're all talking about what's going to go on. Okay. I tell them to be conversationless guys. I'm not, we have line calls and all that stuff like everybody else does. Be a conversationalist. Hey, call, hey, Joey, you got it. Okay. That's all. They know what they're talking about.
Thank you.
But I would mess with Alex, did it pretty good now. There's a guy that played for Alex named David Diaz Infante. Right, I can send you David's phone number and information. David played for Alex at that time. Okay, he played guard for him. Okay, and David was the assistant line coach for the Jets. Okay, but Steve Marshall, and he was the assistant line coach at the Chargers. Okay, for Anthony Lynn. Okay, that crew there. Okay, and now he doesn't. I think he doesn't have a job now. He's sitting in Arizona. So that would be a good resource because he actually did it for you. There's a player that actually did the technique for you.
That'd be great if I could get it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll send it to you when we get done.
Thank you.
I hope I didn't mess you all up, but that's, and how good is your guard? How athletic is he? Can he boom, boom? You know what I mean? Those guards back then were real fast. They were smaller guys. Remember, they weren't the big guys. The only reason they got bigger guards because the 3 techniques got bigger. They couldn't keep moving them. So they had to get bigger guys. They couldn't play with the 285-pound guys anymore.
Awesome. Great question. Rick, you got the next one now.
Yeah, Coach, the mesh exchange with the back is really important to the success of the run. How much time and how do you collaborate with the OC and the running back coach to determine the best options?
Where the ball's going to be handed off?
Yeah.
You saying?
Yeah, your mesh and the exchange. Yeah.
It depends on the play, the actual play itself. Obviously, okay. We will track. I don't know if this helps you guys or not, but we track how the defensive end plays. We're one of the option stuff. We're going to track how the defensive end is playing. So if we're going to read that guy, so actually on the film breakdown, okay, you know what I mean? Is he going to squeeze? Is he a slow player? Is he squeezing it? Is he coming to the mesh point? Okay, is he a fast player? All right. So we're going to actually track that guy. Okay, and find out how he's playing to tell us what we want to do with the football when he gets it. Okay, now the mesh points. Okay, if we're running the outside zone play, okay, God, I don't get overly involved in it unless I see something that says, "Hey, this is fucking up the offensive line." I really don't. Okay, but I know when the tailback, okay. When they stop running that ugly play, what they call ugly in the CFL, when that play started to be developed, okay, it was developed, okay, so that for us in the NFL, when we're running the stretch play, the back is running to the inside leg of the offense over to the tight end and running to the ass of the tight end. I could never figure out, you run into the inside butt of the tight end or you run in the ass of the tight end. What difference did that much make? I don't have no idea, but anyway, that's the way it was. Okay, so where the quarterback handed him the ball was somewhere around the B gap where he actually got the ball in his hands. Okay, that's when he actually got the football. Okay, and when Mike was talking about the other night, when the back was coming across the backfield and you run it from the offset back, okay, right? What we used to tell the back, okay, you're going to make a decision on reading the defensive end before you get the ball. Your eyes are going 1 to 2. So you're making a decision before, but you even have the ball in your hands. When you get the ball, okay, we used to tell them take 2 more steps. Mike mentioned 3 the other night. We would say take 2 more steps because of the speed of the back coming across the backfield. Okay, and that would put him about the same spot, okay, right, where he would get the ball or make a decision, right, when he got the ball when he was in the eye. Does that make sense? So he's going to make a decision right before he gets the ball, but when he gets to that spot when the tailback got the ball, okay, we said, let's just put the back there. We'll put the back at the decision-making spot, okay, and we'll slow him down by taking a deep drop step, okay, and opening his hips to run at the ghost tight end, okay, and then the quarterback, it was his responsibility to give that guy the ball, okay, so that's how we kind of figured out that mesh point for that one play. And then the mesh points, what Mike was talking about, you know, that was a thing that Shanahan and Alex, when they were running that play years ago about the tailback being in line with the center, right, and not getting ahead or behind where the center's going, and they keep that, okay, that mesh point with that back, you had to figure that out. How slow did the back have to be slowed down? All right, some teams, you know, they take a little deeper open step at the back with his front side foot. Some teams will take his backside foot and then take a false step with his backside foot. And then he started, okay? So he gives the line a chance to go, okay? And then he starts because he's going to catch up at the center real fast, okay? He's going to catch up at the center real fast. So some teams did that. So you have to figure out where you want the ball to hit in the concept of the play on where that mesh point is actually going to be because they all change. I'm just giving you 2 plays, okay, that kind of like how we would figure out the mesh point.
And for all
One
of
of
those
the-
whiles, you always wanted to have clarification before the plays being installed, like in training camp, whatever, what exactly is going on behind us. So we, matched up with the footwork, right?
Yeah, we want to know. I thought that's kind of understood that the line always wants to know who the back is reading and what his actions are, so we can judge what the linebackers are going to do and even the down guys. How's the defense going to react, right? Unless they're on some type of movement, right? Is how the back is running. That's not a new thing. That's just, you know what I mean? So if you get in our playbook, you always find something, the course of the back, okay? Where the course of the back is, it's drawn, okay? The course of the back is drawn on where he's going. And then we always put an exclamation point, or not an exclamation, we put a star. We put a star, okay, on who the back is reading. He's reading that guy. You know what I mean? So let's just say I'm the right guard and I got a 3 technique on me. Okay, I know the back is reading that guy. And what I also know, okay, if we're running a tight inside zone play, I know that I have automatic leverage on that guy. I've got him leveraged on the inside zone play. Okay, now he may be having me leveraged on the outside zone play, but I got him leveraged because we feel that the ball, when they run the tight inside zone play, is going to go A gap to back unless the 3 technique spike. So the guard knows I'm reading that guy. So if that guy, when the guard goes to block him, moves up, right, then the guard knows the ball's coming back. Right? The center knows the ball's coming back if that guy's moving out. And the center knows, so if the ball's coming back, how the linebacker is going to react. Okay? How the linebacker is going to react. So the center can anticipate that. Right? Now the backside guard's not going to know that, but the center and the front side guard are going to know that. How is it reacting? And then when they're blocking their guys, as you're blocking them, this is the toughest thing to teach the line, I think. That's why you always have that strong inside hand, because there's a point in time when they got pressure on you, and you can feel them releasing the pressure. Why are they releasing the pressure? Because they're going to the back. They're getting ready to go where the ball's going. That's when you need to accelerate your feet and finish the block. Okay, but you know who the back is reading. You know, if I'm the tackle and we're reading 1 to 2 and the outside don't play, right? And 1 expands and 3 expands. Don't you know those guys, as they're expanding, those 2 guys know that that ball's coming back. If that back's worth any shit at all, that ball's coming back underneath them. Okay? So I don't know if I answered your question and didn't answer your question. You know, but that, all those, you know, for the counter plays, okay? Who was the back reading? For the draw plays. This was a good coaching point for you guys on the draw plays. I always think that the guard, okay, say you're going to run a draw, it's on the right-hand side, slow draw. Everybody wants a slow draw, right? And let's just say that the back is looking at the guy on the right guard, that guy right there. Okay, so I want that guy to make a little quicker decision whether he's going to go inside or whether he's going to go outside, right? He's going to go inside or outside, right? So I always want that guy to be a little more aggressive on that guy. Be a little more aggressive, even at the draw, because I want that guy to make a quick decision. He's going to go outside or is he going to come inside? Because how about when your guy wrestles with you and you're fighting with the guy, right? And you're trying to get the guy, you know, go upfield or do something with him, take him someplace, and the back's crawling up your back. They're trying to find out where he's going to go with the football. You know, I always learned that if you be a little more aggressive with that guy, let him make a quicker decision on where he wants to go. It kind of cleans it up for the back where he's going to go. Right? I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but
Yeah, I think that's what he was looking for. Coach Mike, you got another question? Go for it.
Hey, Coach, for an undersized line, would you prioritize in early training camp either footwork or intensity at the point of attack for specifically a zone run scheme?
for undersized line, okay?
Yes, Coach.
If you just want to run the zone plays, I'd have an alternate scheme in there for undersized linemen. But if you're just running, to me, linemen, per se, just linemen, okay? I think the core strength of your body, your lower body leg strength, and your foot quickness are key. I think the bench presses and the curls, you got to do some of that stuff and make you look pretty, make get a date, okay? But you're not going to block all the guys, okay? Right? You're going to block them with the core strength of your body, your lower body leg strength, and your feet. Okay, that's what's going to happen. You know, so I would work on, right, how fast but under control. Because sometimes you fire out, okay, those guys can make you miss. So when you come off the line of scrimmage, okay, you're coming off under control. You're still coming off the ball. You're lowering your center of gravity. You're coming off the ball, but you're coming off under control, okay? Because if that guy slams or angles, okay, you got to be able to adjust with him, okay? So you want to come off, but when you get into him, there's a snap when you get into him. You get your hands on him, you bring your hips. That snap when you jolt the defender, okay, right? That's what I think you work on, those type of things. So the kid has to feel that, okay? So you actually fit the kid into the block and you let him feel how it feels to snap his hip and bring his feet. And there's a little lifting action when that occurs. You know, when I first start with the linemen, and I was telling you guys earlier in this, the last thing I talk to those guys about, okay, is actually how we're going to place and how we're going to block guys. That's the very last thing I talk to them about. Okay, I'm too busy trying to get the communication, the chemistry, and all that other stuff set up. Okay, but if I had undersized linemen, it's the how you get on the block and how much snap that you put on when you get there with your hands and your hips and your feet. Okay, I'd be working on that. I don't know if you have a Crowder sled. I think that the Crowder sled, right, is the best sled, even though John Green is a really good friend of mine at Rogers. You know what I mean? And I buy the harnesses I use and stuff from John. I think that the Crowder sled teaches I call it a sequence of motion. There's a sequence of motion that takes place with your body, right? And I think the Crowder sled teaches that the best. It actually does. So if you can teach that sequence of motion, okay, that with that the body goes through, and you keep repeating it with the kids, and then they'll get faster and faster on it. I think you work on that kind of stuff there. I hope I helped you with that one.
Yes, you did. Thank you, Coach.
Coach, how about when we talk a little bit of inside run? What's the most difficult front that you don't want to see as an offensive line coach?
Oh, God. Depends what the run is. It actually depends when we're running. Okay, I know the most difficult front used to be the triple front, what Pat was talking about. What do we call it? Well, we call it a triple. Anytime the center's covered and the two guards are covered, we just say triple. Okay, because years ago, I'll give you a history lesson. Years ago, okay, when Buddy Ryan first came out with the defense, right, and the reason we called it a 46 defense is because Gary Fensick wore number 46 for the Bears. So he was the eighth guy. He was the guy that made it the eighth guy. So sometimes they put two linebackers on the tight end's head, right? And Fensick would get into the box with the linebacker, with the mic, right? So they take the other linebacker and sometimes they put the defensive end outside that side, okay, and put a linebacker on the tight end's head. Okay, the other linebacker would be the defensive end on the other side. He'd walk up, right? And then Fensick would get into the box with the Mike linebacker. So they get into it that way. So we were trying to think of a name when the two linebackers were in the tight end, and then when the end and the other linebacker was on the tight end, and then Fensick would be on the tight end sometimes, right? And there'd be a linebacker outside him. So they wanted to name it something there, or the end would be outside and Fensick would be on the tight end's head. So they're trying to come up with all these different names when that would happen. Dubs, big Dubs, little Dubs. Oh, they had all these crazy names. So we sat in a room and said, screw it. We said, anytime you had a triple, when center and two guys were covered, and the tight end had two guys on them, and we didn't care who the tight end was. We didn't care who those two guys were. They could be backers, safety, and a backer. It didn't matter to us. Automatically, everything that play that was called went into the bear category. That's how it just went into the bear category. Protection, runs, whatever it was, we stuck it into that category, right? And so to give you an example, we stuck it into that category, right? And then we had to make decisions as coaches. Okay, what was the best run to run against that front when we had two backs in the backfield? Okay, so we decided that the best run to run when we had two backs in the backfield was we wanted to run the outside stretch play, okay, to the tight end side. To the open end side. And we were going to put the fullback, okay, on the safety because he was sitting down on the box to that side. Okay, so if the safety was down to the box on that side, okay, the other free safety was in the middle of the field. We wanted to run the outside zone play to that side. So we got it blocked and we got the fullback on the safety. Okay, we're going to go a long way. We were going a long way because they would play man coverage in that defense. God, 90% of the time they were playing man. They weren't playing zone. Okay, so we could get that accomplished. Okay, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to run weak and wide versus that defense. Okay, so we always had a plan for that defense, and they came up with that defense to stop the run. They didn't come up with that defense, okay, because we were throwing the ball all over the place, right? And it was a pass defense. That wasn't that pass defense. They come up with that defense to stop the run. So we had to figure out what do we want to run against it. We got runs called. What were we going to get to? Now the game has evolved to, all kind of, run the option against it, okay? Down here, even the NFL, they may run some option against it. They might run duo to the tight end side against it. You know what I mean? So what play you want to run against that defense. I think that's the toughest one. The next one, I thought we were talking about with Pat is when you go to empty protection and you have that 42 defense with the double mug linebackers. Okay, that's kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, that's because how are we going to handle that? If you want to keep you back in the backfield, how do you want to handle that? Because the quarterback's got to know we only got 5 guys. They got 6 up there. What guy's going to be the free guy? Or what guy can be the free guy? And the quarterback has to know that. That takes some teaching and work to doing that. Okay? That just doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? So I think that's a tougher defense. I think I know in the NFL, another tough front was they would play over defense, true over front, right? And they'd have a defensive end on the inside shoulder with a tight end, and they walk the Sam linebacker up, and they put him on the end of the line and scrimmage outside of him. And you'd have a 3 technique, a wide gap 3 technique, right? And then you have the shade on the center backside shoulder. Then you have the open end defensive end and the will linebacker and the Mike linebacker are standing in the A gap, okay? Off the ball. I thought that was a tough defense, okay? It was tough to run anything over to that tight end side. You had to get something when you're going to take the ball to the other side. Somebody had a ball had to go to the other side. So that was a defense that we had to know work against. And all this stuff that I'm telling you guys, when we put the playbook together, I wish I don't have one here, the new playbook. When we put the playbook together, we took the most used defenses, okay, and we put them in the playbook. What are the most used defenses in the CFL? You got this one, you got that one, you got this one, this one. All right, these are the top 10 defensive fronts, all right, that you're going to see. All right, so we would block them all out. They're already blocked out. The discussions have already been talked about. So when we see that defense, okay, we got a pretty good idea how we want to handle it. Okay, now everybody is going to give you a different something that you haven't seen. They're all trying to do that, okay? We're going to change this, we're going to move that. I know the good defenses that I played against, okay, or coached against, I should say, the good defenses don't change. They just play defense. You got to block them. The guys that do a lot of the stunning, blitzing, twisting, you know what I mean? They're moving guys all over the place. There's all kind of substitutions. They're hiding because they can't play. They got to try to make it work that way. The guys that just line up and play defense, I worry about those guys because they can play football. Those other guys, okay, they're trying to get you with a scheme-wise. The guys that just line up and play, they line up and they just play defense. Those guys bother me more than the other guys bother me. So I don't know if I helped you or hurt you, but the triple front that Pat was talking about, that's a pain in the ass defense. Okay, right? The 4-2 with the double mug linebacker, that's a pain in the ass defense. Okay, sometimes I'll give you a good one, and I know we used to see it in the NFL, and we don't see it in the CFL, but you got a slide protection on, okay? And we're sliding the line to the left, okay? And formation's right, tight end's to the right, okay? So they get on their defense. Then what they do is they take the will linebacker and they stand them in the backside A gap, inside the heels of the defensive lineman, all right? They stand them right there, all right? And now you get the 3 technique, he widens out a little bit. And then you got a defensive end who's really a kind of a stand-up backer kind of kid. You know what I mean? Kind of like the kid they drafted from Michigan the other night. Okay, we kind of stand up pretty quick. So when you start to slide, the white guy's going to get used up by the shade. The center's going to get used up by the will linebacker. Okay, right? The left guard, he's going to get used up by the wide 3 technique. All right, that outside guy, okay, he's going to loop all the way around to find an opening past the setup. Okay, that guy comes clean. That guy comes clean. So we had to do a couple of things. If they ran that stunt, we used to have to tell the back, hey, you may have to stay in and cut this guy if he's coming clean over here. Because if you think that you're going to pass that all the way back, you're smoking too much of that shit. Okay, that's not going to happen. Okay, that's not going to happen. Okay, so we used to have to get the back included when we play that team and say, hey, you need to stay here. Okay, so you check, right, and then you wait and see if this is right, and if it's coming, you're going to end up probably be blocking that guy. Just cut him, do something so the quarterback can get rid of the football, right? And then as we went along, we got smarter with it, right? I took the center and I had the center go dry block the guy that was in the A gap. Just dry block him. Just come off the ball, hit him in the mouth, okay, and dry block him. Okay, so you want to stop him. So the guy running the loop, right now, he has to change his course, so he may run into that, or he doesn't have a clean way to get around it. So we had to do some of that, but that was a tough one. You don't see that here, but somebody will probably put it in now. I'm talking about it, but that was something that gave us a little bit of a sit down and think about how you want to handle this shit. Okay, but any of those, any of the oddball fronts, how they take the two defensive ends and they put them behind the tackles, right? Or they take two defensive ends, they put them to the same side, then they put a linebacker to the other side, and the safety gets down there. Well, everybody in the league, and I'm not telling people anything they don't know. They probably already have that defense, and they have a way that they're going to take care of it and block it, or audible against it, or change a play against it, or change a protection with it. Okay, they've already done that. They've done that in the offseason. You know what I mean? I know Pat DeMarco, he's a good football coach. Okay, he's already done that. He's looked at that front and said, okay, this is how we're going to handle that defense. Okay, he's not going to wait till the week of practice and try to figure it out the week of practice. Okay, and then you're only going to get so many times you're going to get it snapped, the ball snapped versus it. Okay, right. So you want to have that ball completed before you get there, right? And you don't want to be scrambling around on the sideline on Sunday, or I'll use Sunday for the NFL stuff, or Friday night or Saturday, when would we play? Okay, trying to figure that stuff out. You have already want to talk about it, have a plan for it, be ready to go with it, right? When you're going into that game week. So a lot of that stuff should be done in the off season. Anybody else? Did I mess you all up on that one?
No, I think that was good stuff. Now, I've been going to the Cool for a long time, Wiles, you know that, but I think Sheldon may have been going longer than me, and he's always sitting right around us, the same area. Sheldon, you're up next. You got the question.
Hi, for Bob and Pat Delmonico, just going back to your empty protection question there. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole concept of, if you got a 40 front, 3 technique, the guards are covered, or the guard's covered on the call side, A-gap mug. If you lock the tackle onto the end, whether you level off, snap the 3 off and come post back in on the A-gap rusher, there's a threat of getting grabbed. I mean, are you still you still have a free rusher in the A or B gap? Is it not better to squeeze it down in the 40 front and allow the C gap rusher, the end in that case, to come free? Like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around the guard having the duel or the molly there.
Go ahead, Pat.
What the answer I'm trying to seek out is that those defensive ends now are actually getting a little bit smarter. And what they're doing is they're not peeling them, number one, so you don't gain the blocker. Number two, they're not rushing them at the Q, they're rushing them in the passing lane. So you're facing guys who they're forcing you to throw it fast, hot, which we're going to do to protect the quarterback, but you can't complete the ball because you can't get it over the guy's hands with any effectiveness. So they're forcing you to a 4-yard throw. You're hoping to get 7 or to get 6, and you can't do it. So we're trying to find another answer versus a team that's not going to peel the end, that's going to, so you can get 7 when you're trying to get 7, not 4, because that's what they're forcing you to do. That's the whole theory, is to get that defensive end's hands down. And there's enough when you look at it, there's enough where that interior guy, whether it's the mug blitzers in the A gap or the mug blitzers in the B, the D lineman himself has got a cover rush. And there's certain teams that within that package, that guy's actually looking for a crosser that's coming across the middle to put his hands up too. So they know that we're going to try and give them the C gap rusher. So they're letting that guy go, get in the pass lane. So just trying to mix it up. And again, it's just I'm really just trying to investigate it to figure it out. I haven't done it. I have zero experience with it, but I've got to come up with some sort of solution that's hurting us right now. And this is where I've gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole. And I was lucky enough to have someone that was on an offense that had done something similar to that in certain situations. That's why I asked Coach Wylie about it. But that's the answer to your question. That's why I'm asking the question.
Let me share this with you guys so we can. I'm going to try to draw it up for them, Pat, so we get a better understanding. Can you guys see my screen? Hang on. Okay. Hang on. I'm old school. I like this. I think everybody should get this program, though, sir. Okay, because I get the old school. Okay, everybody see this?
Yeah.
You can see that? That's a blackboard with chalk, guys. You guys want to know? Because when I first started out, we just had blackboards and chalks. None of this fucking whiteboard shit with grease markers. Okay, so all right. Now what we're talking about, guys, is you have got the rush here, you got a tree technique here, maybe the nose guard one here. No, excuse me. Excuse me, guys. Nose guard, okay, maybe head up someplace on the backside. Because they're going to take a backer and put a backer here, and they're going to put a backer here, okay, and say the quicks here. Okay, right. So now they're going to do something, okay. But Pat's talking about this guy is trying to get to a lane where this quarterback has to throw the ball over his head. Okay. You might, and some of these guys may get into a lane and say, well, okay, that's okay. We'll just put somebody in this area, get the ball in that area. Okay. But then you don't know which one of these guys may be dropping back out of there into that area. So they're playing all that kind of bullshit. But you're saying that this guard here now has to take these two guys. Okay. How does he do that? That's the answer he's looking for. What technique are they going to do with that guard? So if he's coming and he's coming, right, we're going to throw him and block that guy. Okay. Throw this guy and block that guy. Or is this guy even more going to hit him first and then come back and block the three technique? That's why I believe that's what you're looking for, right, Pat?
Yeah. And see where before speaking with you, Bob, see, I understood it as the guard always fell into the A gap guy. So on the snap, he would settle back, stab the B gap player, and then he would then open and fall into the A gap. Whether the A gap was the DT or the A gap is the linebacker, that was always the player you fell into. And that's where I'm, obviously I'm a little bit nervous on that. The bigger that A gap player is, like if that's the DT, that's why I kind of liked where you went with it a little bit, where you leveled, you punched the DT every single time and then pushed back out on the linebacker body. That one makes a little bit more sense to me on it.
Always remember this, Pat, that you're working with 18-inch splits,
Yeah.
You can cover, especially if you got a big bodied guard, okay, that has semi-long arms, that he can play both of them. Because the guy that's going to come out of there, there's a point in time, okay, as you well know, okay, there's a point in time, okay, I've got too much shit going here. There's a point in time where this guy, right, has to get back out somewhere if he's the drop. And there's a point in time where this guy has to leave. So how much depth is this going to be until they make that decision? And if they're both coming, right, make a decision. Who's the most dangerous guy?
Right.
Just make a decision. You know what I mean? Now, Alex used to say, right, he's going to throw that guy and then go hit that guy. That's what Alex said. So he punch and throw that guy and then get back on the other guy. But
Now, when you say that guy, Bob, are you saying the B gap player or are you saying the DT?
yeah, he would say the three guy. He say, I said, well, how would you handle that guy? He said, the guard would take two. I said, how would the guard take two? Right? He said, he'd punch the three technique, right, and then go block the backer. So he'd punch and get rid of the three technique, go block the backer. When he was backing up, that's what I would explain to me by Alex. He was the first one to do it. Now, they may have refined it, Pat, since then, but that's when I first heard about it. Okay. And the thing was, Alex is a neighbor of mine down in Phoenix. You know what I mean? So, I wrote a whole thing with Alex. If you guys want it, I'll give it to you. It's like 180 pages on just one, on the outside don't play, one play. Well, we would talk about all this kind of stuff. And I said, and about protections. And he says, sometimes you have to have a leap of faith. You hit one and you fall into the other, but you got to make a decision after you hit the big guy, okay? And they're both coming. Who's the most dangerous guy that you're going to block? Get rid of one and block the other one. He used to like to hit the big guy first and then go block the other guy. Right. But
Thanks.
This was depth that you were getting right here. And what I'll do at the end of this thing here is I'll call David Diaz-Infante, okay? And I'll ask David. And then what you want to do, text me your cell number, right? Text me your cell number, right? You don't mind?
Will do. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll send you Pat's number, Wiles.
Okay. Do that.
There you go.
Anyway, thanks, guys. It was just, again, the whole idea of making sure the A and B gaps are blocked and let the free rush guy come from the widest path possible. It's a new kind of concept to me. I like it. It's just leery of the guard getting grabbed or if they both come, the A and B gap guy, that the quarterback's going to get planted too often. It's just a little scary, but I like the idea.
That, and the quarterback has to know that, obviously.
Right.
So how much do you like the quarterback? Know what happens? Like Pat's doing the research on it, trying to figure it out, okay?
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't feel comfortable for us. I was talking about this last week. When we went to the left-handed stance, okay, we're trying to figure out the left-handed stance on the left-hand side of the ball. This is years and years and years ago. People think it's for pass. It's not. We originally did it for the run game. It just fits into the basketball. But it originally came out about the run. So we were uncomfortable with it as coaches. We get in a left-handed stance as a coach and said, that doesn't feel good. Hey, that doesn't feel right. Okay. So and I said, guys, right, that feels to us. We're not playing. It doesn't matter how we feel with it. Those guys are playing. How's it feel to those guys? Let those guys get in it and tell us what it feels like. Okay? So I think, Pat, if you're going to do this, introduce it to them. Let them get a feel for it and then go back and tell you what it feels like for them. And then they'll say, hey, yeah, I like this, coach. I can do this. This is fun. I can get this done. You know what I mean? Or they may be saying, Pat, stop smoking that shit. Why are you doing this? So you can get,
Oh, you're right.
That's how it happens. What do they think about it? What can they do it? It's not what you feel about it. You're not playing. And you're glad you're not playing. So that would be my advice. Next question.
I think, Jamie, did you have a question? You look like you were just about to ask something. Are you muted right now? Yeah, you're muted, Jamie. Can't hear you. Go for it.
Guys, it's okay to be transparent. You know, if I don't know it, I'll tell you I don't know it. You know, that's the thing. You know, I heard Mike talk about the other. Don't tell me that. You know, if I don't know the answer to the question, okay, right? If I'm in a meeting with my players and one of you ask me a question, okay, and I don't know, it's a good question. I don't have the answer to it. But I'm not gonna try to bullshit the kid. Okay, I'm gonna say, look, let me talk to whoever the coordinator is. You know, let me talk to Sam and I'll get back to you. You know, but I'm gonna have the answer before you go on the field. That kid will have that question answered before he goes to practice. Okay, but I'm not gonna try to fool the kid or bullshit the kid. Okay, or tell him something that's not right and then I have to change it. Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay. You know, I'm going to be honest with the kids. Look, I don't know that. I got to ask Al how he wants to handle that. Okay. Then I'll get back with the kid before he'll have the answer before he goes to practice. For sure. I never let a player go out to practice not knowing exactly what we expect to do out there. And every time I send a kid to practice, they all have goals that they need to meet for that day. And each one of them is different because they're all different players, guys. You can't give them all the same goal because they're all different. So I have to make the kid better. How do I make the kid better for that day? And I only want to make them this much better, right? I don't want to make them that much better, right? Because I'm going to screw the kid up. If I tell the kid everything I know, I am going to mess that player up really bad, okay? Right? It may be first step. At the end of the day, when I put the film on, I want to see your first step. What does that look like? Or maybe it's 2 steps, or maybe, you know, your first step when you're pulling, or maybe your left hand. Where are you putting your inside hand? I should say, not your left hand. Where are you putting your inside hand? Okay. You know, where is your body placement? Where is your force line placement? I'm trying to get away from using the term head. You know, I got buddies in the NFL league office, and we're trying to get away from using the term head. So I come up with force line. Because if something happens, God forbid, and the kid hurts himself, and he said, well, coach told me to stick my head in there, stick my face in there. Well, guess what, guys? Your ass is going to be in a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? I'm trying to take that. I rewrote my whole offensive line manual, okay, and took the word head out of it. I sat with Howard Mudd, and we went through cover to cover, the whole book, where we could use the term force line so as not to use the term head, helmet, face mask, ear hole, any of that stuff. Okay, so, you know, because the attorneys in the legal office are telling, hey, you better cover your ass just in case something happens. Not that it's going to happen, God forbid, but you better have something that when they come and they get your offensive line manual, better than that say, stick your face in there because you're going to have a problem there.
Jamie, is your microphone working now? No. Might have to just type it in, and we'll get you after. It's not, microphone's not working for some reason.
Paul, I don't think some of these guys, do you have my meeting room?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you pull that up? Because I don't think a lot of these guys, I don't know how many guys are on the call or who's going to, but just pull up the meeting room. You know, I think it's worth discussing, okay, how the meeting room's set up, okay, because I do it a little differently. I'm not a classroom style guy. Because the guy in the front, the guy in the back seat makes a mistake, right? All those guys in the front, they don't turn around and look at him. That doesn't happen. You don't get that. So my meeting room, and some of you guys have already heard this that were on last week a little bit, but the other guys that haven't, because there was only a handful of us there at the time. Pull up the first picture. Okay. Hey, this helps you create the chemistry room. Okay, when you first walk in, okay, Paul, can I draw on this? You can't see that draw. But But when you,
I don't know if you can.
right, never mind, I'll just explain it. Our mascot is the gorilla because the gorillas make the best offensive linemen. That's another whole dissertation, okay? I believe that. They got long arms. They run with their knees bent. Right? They got a natural arch they create in their back. Right? They got a nice big thick neck. Okay, they run off their insteps. Right? Right? That guy he was born to be an offensive lineman. Somebody screwed the poor son of a gun up, put him in the jungle, and now you eat bananas and makes baby gorillas. You could be making millions of dollars playing on Sunday afternoon. But anyway, when you first walk in my meeting room, okay, there's a family board. See the family board there? Right, and I want you to give me pictures of the people or person, or you could even put your dog on there, that's most important in your life. All right? I put it up on that board. Every day you walk in a meeting room, okay, I want you to see that. Okay, because ultimately those are the people who you're playing for. Those are the people, all we're doing as an organization is giving you the opportunity to play for those people right there. You know, so I want you to see those people every day when you walk into that room. Next picture. Okay, in the beginning, this is a board that's on the other side of the room. Okay, and this is the pictures of when you played Pop Warner football, junior high school football, and where you started. And you played because you had a passion for the game. You played because you loved to play the game. Okay, nobody paid you to go play. You did it because you loved it. And then somebody came along and said, hey, you're pretty good. We're going to give you a scholarship to go play in college, right? And then some of you guys didn't get a scholarship, but you loved the game so much that you walked on and you earned the scholarship. Okay, but you started somewhere. And I don't want you to forget where you started. You know, I'm even on there. See the guy that's under the B, that big picture that's under the B in the beginning? That's me. Not a bad stance, huh? Right. That was back in the 60s, right? But anyway, so I want them to see that, right? And then they move on with their careers and they get into college, right? And then somebody says, some scout comes in and says, hey, you're pretty good. We might draft you. So now you get drafted, okay? And some of you guys don't get drafted and you sign as undrafted free agents, like the kid at Montreal signed with Seattle. You know, he signed with Seattle. He's going to have a chance to make that team. You know, same thing with the kid at Iowa. You guys that know the Canadian kids, right? He didn't get. I was surprised that kid. That won't surprise me. Right? I figured somebody would take him somewhere. You know, something I don't know somewhere. But you know, he signs with the Rams. Okay. But anyway, you know, there's a chance that you're going to get into one of these seats. Go to the next slide, Paul. Okay. Go to the full room slide. You're going to get into one of those seats. And it's a conference style, right? And you see that center, the chair in the middle, that's the center seat. Center sits right there. Center has a pointer. Okay. He has a pointer. Okay. Then the two guards sit either side of him. And then the tackles sit in the next two seats. Okay. So that starting offensive line, they sit right there. The rest of the guys fill in. Okay, but they can all see each other. Right? They can't hide. There's no hiding. Okay, you can see my gorillas all over the place with the palm trees and stuff. There's no hiding. That's how I create that in the room. Go ahead, go to the other picture, Paul. Okay, and nope, the big one with all the pictures. Right? Here, all the Hall of Fame guys, right? And all the old club guys that played for the Cleveland Browns. Now, when I'm with the Raiders, the Broncos, right? It doesn't matter. The Jets, the Tampa Bay, it didn't matter. It's all set up the same way, right? I get, okay, the big pitches, those big pitches are the guys that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Those big pitches, there's 5 of them, right? The pitches that are smaller, okay, almost half those size, those guys are all pro. Okay, those guys are all pro. So I put those guys up there. So there's 20 of them total, right? Then I put my little sayings in between them, all those little, you know, other signs look like street signs. Right, those are all my little sayings that I like. And I put them, and I say, guys, these guys set the bar. These guys are looking down at you guys. Okay, and I said, if you got one of those seats, right, then you have a chance to make the team. If you got in one of those seats, you don't want to give that seat up. You have a chance to make the team. Okay, and I don't care how you got the seat. Doesn't matter to me. And it's not my responsibility, right, for you to keep that seat. That's your responsibility, not mine. You know what I mean? I'm going to give you techniques. I'm going to give you plays. I'm going to give you what you need. Okay, it's up to you guys to execute it and do what you need to do to keep the seat. Period. Okay. Don't show them the Super Bowl. Show them the other stuff. Oh, keep going. That's just a thing. All right. When you walk out the door, go back. Okay, that's good. Stop here. There's a refrigerator in there. The rookies make sure it's full of water or Gatorade, whatever they want, every day. Rookies do that. There's a shelf over there. It's a bookshelf. Any snacks that they like, okay? They get a list of the snacks that they like, okay? And the rookies buy it, right? And they fill up that snack thing every day, or once a week, I should say. So that gets done, okay? There's tape in there, there's pre-wrap in there, there's Tylenol, any of the stuff that they need, okay, is in that book rack. I got gorillas on the top, I got gorillas on the wall. Okay, there's a microwave oven in there. If they want to bring something from the cafeteria, heat it up, eat it out. They want to pop popcorn, I don't fucking care. Okay, I want them to want to come into the room, right? There's a road grader up there. Okay, if they grade out the highest and we don't let up any sacks, okay, and we win the game, then I take the whole offensive line out to dinner. Okay. And Winnipeg, it was 529. Okay, Saskatchewan, it was the Gulf restaurant. I think that's the name of it. The Gulf restaurant. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll find a place in Ottawa to take the guys out to eat. Whatever the nice place is, we'll go there and eat. I put a picture, or that's actually a cutout of the Super Bowl trophy. Because I want to, ultimately, that's where you want to go. You want to get to that game. Okay, you want to get to the playoffs. You want to get to that game. You see that thing that's on the right-hand side of that basket that's there? Looks like an anchor in that picture, right? The Navy SEALs I had the Navy SEALs come in and talk to us, okay? All right, they gave me that, so I framed it and I put it over there, all right? So when you come into the room, there's a theme. Go to another picture, Paul. There's a theme behind the room, this one here. When you walk out the room, right, there's a thing that says, through this door walk big, tough guys who love football, right? I'm trying to create that chemistry, right, within the room. The room has a meaning to it. It's just not a classroom where you come in and sit down, start watching film. It's way more than before we even begin that. Before that even starts, okay? Right, this room, but when they come in, when they come back to Ottawa, I have no idea how good we're going to be. I really don't. But when they come back to Ottawa and they walk in that meeting room, I want them to say, wow, it's going to be set up like that one there. I want them to say, wow, this is going to be different. This is going to be a little bit different. You know what I mean? I want them to get that feeling when they walk through the door. Okay? And you're building that chemistry. All the time, you're building the chemistry that you have with your guys. So I started with the way the meeting room works. I get all their birthdays. Guys have heard this. If we're in season, okay, right, there's going to be a cake with the kid's number and name and a candle on it. That day, in that meeting room, and that's going to happen. Okay, when we go to away games, I think a lot of guys do this anyway, right? We get per diem. We all get per diem, right, in Canada. When we go to away games, okay, depending on the time, I get up that morning at a game and we have breakfast together and we do not talk about football. We don't do that. That's a rule. We don't talk about football. Talk about your dog, horses, airplane, boat, car. I don't care what you talk about. Girlfriends, doesn't matter. Somebody else's girlfriend, doesn't matter. Okay? You know what I mean? I don't want any of that, I learned a long time ago, don't talk to your players about football the day of the game. Are you ready? How you doing? Good? Okay, good. That's great. Don't go up to the kid and say, hey, now remember, when the linebacker gets inside the tree technique, we need to make don't do that. That kid don't want to hear that shit. He just listened to you all friggin' fucking week with that shit. He just wants to focus on getting ready to play the game. Don't screw the kid up. Stay away from the kid. Some kids swear that don't swear. Some kids sing that don't sing. Some kids put their right sock on first and their left sock. They're all different, guys. Let them get ready to go play the game and don't screw them up. Create the chemistry between you and your players. And it's more important than the X's and O's. I'm telling you, you'll go back to the meeting room. Like, see the whiteboard on the left, that whole wall, you got the girls on top for a reason. That whole wall is a whiteboard, okay? You know what I mean? So what the rookies do is they draw up the front they're going to see and who the guys are and their numbers, right? And all that stuff, all the statistics, the height, weight, all that bullshit, okay? Right? And the numbers in the front we're going to see on that board, right? They're going to draw up the blitzes on that board that they're going to see. They do that, okay? I want them to do that, okay? They're going to see. They're going to draw up the nickel front. They're going to be on that board. And then also on that board, okay, we have, right, more to the left on the back, on the left-hand side of that first gorilla, we have like a checkerboard. And what we do is across the top, okay, across the top, we actually started this, I think we started this in Winnipeg, right, Paul? Right, across the top, it gets all their numbers, okay, and it has my initials and my assistant's initials and so on and so forth, okay, across the top. Down the side, we have all the teams that, the left side, we have all the teams that they played for, all their college teams that they played on, goes down the left side. And on the right side is all the teams that they're playing that week. It looks like a big checkerboard, okay? You have a picture of it somewhere? Looks like a big checkerboard, okay?
I have it on my iPad, but I don't have it on my computer.
Okay, so now, right, we all chip in. I forget if it was $5 a week or $10.
$5 a week, yeah.
What was it?
$5 a week.
Yeah, $5 a week. I think the NFL guys were 10. But it was $5. It was whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we all put in, and all we did is we put a 1 or a 2 in our column. 1, we took the guys on the left. 2, we took the guys on the right. 1, we took the guys on the left. And then whoever had the most wins won the pot. There was no handicaps. There was no points given and taken. Okay, whoever had the most wins won the pot. 2 tie, all tie. 2 tie, all tie. And then there's a fine master, right? And the fine master collects the money. All right, so everybody pays, okay, right? Whoever wins gets the money. If it's tied, then it rolls over to next week. If it ties again, it rolls over to the next week. What was it one week, Paul? That kid won $960 or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was at.
Pretty good chunk of change. You know what I mean? And it doesn't hurt anybody's pocketbook. You know what I mean? It's fun for the kids to do. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if it's legal or not, but we did it. Do it in the NFL. Fuck, I've been doing it. What if somebody's going to probably turn my eye and say, "I'm betting. You can't bet like that." So what I'm doing, I'm telling you guys, is the atmosphere in the room is different. Okay, it really is different. Okay.
More for creating a discussion between the guys so they know where they're coming from, the different colleges and stuff like that, especially in Canada with your mix of the Canadian guys and the American guys. So the American guys are learning about, Ottawa U's playing Guelph that week. Like, who are they? And then they start asking stuff and everything. So it's a pretty neat deal for the guys.
And the Canadian kids help the American kids because the American kids they're not familiar with the way it's played, the game. I don't mean the plays and stuff, but the concept of the way that they look at the game, they look at it differently. So that all takes part of it. You're creating it. And I always have a kid stand up and tell a joke, right? Stand up and start telling them, I don't care if we win or lose the fucking game, doesn't matter. Okay, that next meeting, when we come back, okay, you know what I mean? When we start the first day of the installation for the next opponent, that morning, somebody's going to stand up in that meeting room and they're gonna have a joke to tell. And I usually pick on the kids that don't like to talk. I gotta get those guys to talk, all right? I gotta get them to talk, okay? They gotta talk. All right, so I have another game that we play, okay? All right, I do all this shit, guys. It's like being in fucking grammar school, okay? I got a document camera. I got the Blitz cards. Now, you guys, you computer savvy, smart guys, you know, a lot smarter than I am with the computers and stuff. All right, tell guys I can fly jet airplanes, but these computers things fuck me up, right? Right, we have the Blitz cards all drawn up, okay? So we'll put the card underneath the document camera, okay? And then I'll pick on somebody, right? And I said, I want that kid to tell me what everybody does. Not so much the receivers, you know, the concept of protection, okay, what the left tackle does, what's the line call, right? The left guard, the center, right guard, right tackle, what's the line call here, what's the line call here? What are you looking at? What are you expecting? Okay, all right? And if he makes a mistake, then what was the prime ball? $2? Got to put $2 in a pot, right? If he makes the mistake, $2 go into the fine master, right?
Yeah.
Call
And
up another guy.
also, you would find your assistant if there's any mistakes on the game.
Yes, making mistakes on the drawings, I get to find the assistant, right?
Lots of toonies being thrown around by me.
So, but what it does, it gets everybody involved in it. You know, the rookies, they got to learn it. They don't want to look bad. You know, when I had Michael Couture when we first drafted him, so Couture, get up there, tell me what everybody does. 64 protection. You know, and it's like the first day was like, he kind of struggled through it. You know what I mean? And then after, I tell another rookie, same thing. When I had was a Goose, I got him. You know, when I got the rookies, right, I want them, right? You'd be surprised after a few times you're doing it with them, how much better they get, how fast they get at answering the questions, right? Even the developmental guys, how fast they don't want to look bad, how fast, and they don't want to put $2 in the pot. Or a buck in a pot, whatever the hell it was. You know, so I'm just giving you guys ways that creating chemistry, work with their minds, okay? Do those type. You guys look for the X's and O's all the time, which is great. It's absolutely fantastic, right? I still do that. Me and Jim McNally talk every week. You know what I mean? I used to do the same thing with Howard, God rest his soul. Okay, every week about something. You know what I mean? You know, so we're, you know, every week somebody, you know, we're trying to get whatever the edge is, you know, whatever that best technique is. You know what I mean? Well, we can do that now. I don't have the players. Okay, you do your research now.
Coach, we got a question for you.
Yeah.
What was probably the toughest time in your coaching career and why?
I think the toughest time in your coaching career, okay, is when you get fired and you don't get another job and your contract runs out, okay, and nobody wants to talk to you. You call people, you call your mother, she doesn't even call you back. You know what I mean? You get stuff like that. That to me is always, and as many times as you get fired, you're going to get fired. You just don't know when it's going to be. But when it first happens, okay, I think that to me, you know, was the toughest thing because you have such a passion for the game and a love for the game. And you know you can help somebody and then you're sitting out there, right, and your phone's not ringing. Nobody's looking for you. You know what I mean? It's like they forgot all about you. You know what I mean? So you learn that the best job is the job that you have, is the best job to have. You know, guys get a job because they're looking for the next job. If you do a good job in the job that you have, okay, right? If you do a good job in the job that you have, that's the most important thing. Because you find out when you don't have that job, okay, it's a big difference. You know, when you got to sit out of here, right? That's even a bigger difference. And I think when I got hurt in Cleveland, when I dislocated the ankle and broke that leg and tore up my knee and all that shit, and I was down. Okay, I was in a hospital bed for a long time. I mean, you really learn who your friends are. You really did. The Cleveland Brown organization, you know, there's a whole mess of them that signed cards and brought them to me. The people in marketing came over, you know, and they brought me magic tricks and they brought me books on magic and flying and, you know what I mean? And everybody really came, you know, the owners sent me these, you know, every week or every other week, I'd get this big thing of flowers from the owners, you know what I mean? You find out, and then Al Saunders and Kenny Zampese and, you know what I mean? The people, you know, the guys that I work with that would come, you know what I mean, every, you know, 2 or 3 times a week just to sit down, be with me, talk. You know, the equipment manager, the security guy, the trainers, the, you know, the strength guys, the you know, the video guys. They all came around. Okay, and then when you're out of work, okay, you find out your buddies. Okay, that they'll call you. Hey, can I do anything for you? Can I help you out? Who can I call for you? Is anybody, you know, or you call somebody. What I hate is when you call somebody, all right, because you need help with something, and they'll call you back. Oh, that. If you call me, I'm going to call you back unless something goes wrong. Okay, but if you email me, I'm going to email you back. If you text me, I'm going to text you back. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. You know, so I think those were the toughest times for me. You know,
Wiley's the type of guy that calls
in
you.
this life, in this life, you have friends and you have acquaintances, and you don't know who they are until something bad happens to you. When something bad happens to you, right? The acquaintances, those fuckers can't be found. Okay, your friends, okay, they're right there with you. You know, they're right there with you. They're trying to help you get through this. Go ahead, Paul. Wake up.
One of the things I was going to say was that Wiles is one of the guys that he'll call you when you're out and say, "Hey, I think this job's opening up. Are you interested? I'll make a call for you right now." You know, that's because he's been there. He knows how it is. So, you know, he doesn't want you sitting on the sidelines. So, you know, he's trying to look out for you, and that's what guys should be doing, right? Keep their ear to the ground, and if you
got a job, and you know that another job's opened up, and that guy's out of work, help the guy get the job. He may not want the job. You know what I mean? You know, I'm trying. You know, I'm not telling stories out of school. I'm trying to get back in the NFL. Okay, and you do that, you know, in late December, you know, January and part of February, and then that's it. Okay, right? Because you get jobs that pay a certain amount of money. Okay, and then you get jobs that pay you in the high 6 and 7 figures. Okay, so which one are you going to try to get or go to? Obviously, you know,
it's only the exchange rate that makes it different, right? CFL, NFL.
Yeah. So, but anyway, you know, I'm trying to get. I'm going to tell you how it happened. I'm trying to get on the Houston Texans staff. Right, the head coach there. Okay, I got his first job in Tampa Bay. I got the guy's first job. Sam Weiss came in. Right, he had let the other receiver coach go. He gives me a list of 4 guys and says, "Hey, research these guys." So I called some buddies of mine that worked at Texas A&M. They gave me the information. You know, I researched all 4 guys. Right, and that kid's name kept coming up as the guy. So I give it back to Sam. I said, "Sam, this seems to be the guy." So Sam brought him in, talked to the kid, liked the kid, right? Put him up on the board, right? And then he hires that guy. That guy was my office next to me for 4 or 5 years. Okay, we had the office next to me. We go out to dinner, you know, the wives, the kids, and all that stuff, right? You know, so I'm trying to get that job. Okay, and then I get the call, and he goes, "Well, we're going through the process." So I've known you for 27 years. What process are we going through? Well, make a long story short, okay, Andy Reid calls because he and Andy were together at Philly for a long time, and they were together at Kansas City for a long time. So Andy Reid calls and says, "Hey, you need to hire this guy." And so he hires that guy. Period. Doesn't matter what else happened. He just hired that guy because it's what Andy told him to do. Okay? And so now they need an assistant line guy. Well, he worked with the line guy at the Steelers when he was at the Steelers. Well, that guy now has a kid, right, that's in coaching. And so he's going to get his first big break to be the assistant line coach at Houston, because they work together. The dads work together, so now the guy and the kid to be the assistant line coach. I can't beat that. You know what I mean? You can't beat that when you're trying to get the job. There's no way that they let you come in and compete for the position. You know what I mean? They just do it. So, you guys asked me before, how do you get in the NFL? Well, right now, you better have a buddy, okay? That's a good friend of yours that's going to hire you if he gets to be the head coach. That's how about you're going to get in. So, there's been 504 NFL head football coaches, 504. 147 of them have been fired after the first year. 286 of them have been fired after 3 years. Okay? 286 of them have been fired after 3 years. So whatever the concept or whatever the process they're doing to hire the guys, really not working. So, if I was going to hire a head football coach, I'd go to the Steelers. I'd go to the Steelers and I'd ask Mr. Rooney if he would mind sitting down talking to me about what they're looking for in the process that they do when they hire a head football coach. Because they've had 3 head coaches in 52 years. Right? The Cleveland Browns had 5 in 7 years. So whatever that process is, go talk to the Steelers. All right, next.
All right, so a follow-up question on Pat's situation that he had. Jamie just wanted to know, his mic's not working, so he wanted to know if it was a static situation or if it was on the move that you would do that with the guard.
Say that again, Paul.
With Jamie's question is kind of build on what Pat's deal was. Is it based off a static situation, like they're up on the line, or was it on the move with the guard having to do the double read, the molly on it?
I don't understand on the move. I know it means the linebackers walked up at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but is it walking up late or happening on the snap coming?
No, he is responsible. If you're going to put that guy in that technique and walk up your tackle, then that guy's responsible. You know what I mean? So we tell the guy, what my understanding is, when that guy's coming from depth or he starts his move, okay, we walk to the quarterback. Now the guard, right, he can be blocking the 3 technique, and then when that guy starts coming through the A-gap, right, he can throw the 3 and now hit the back. Right, so he can still do the same thing, and it's probably a little bit better when they come from depth because now he can block the 3 technique. As that guy approaches him, okay, and at the last second, snap the 3 technique and punch the linebacker. All you got to do is not, you know how they blitz. They're blitzing, and all you need to do is get a hands on the guy. And what happens? You go someplace he doesn't want to go. Linebacker, you don't have to hit him hard. Just get a hand on the guy. Because his momentum, you're going to change his momentum and make him go someplace he doesn't want to go. You're buying your quarterback some time, and your quarterback knows, like Pat was saying, it's going to be hot anyway. You're going to get rid of the ball. Hopefully.
Yeah.
You
Patty, you there?
Yeah.
You're asking me or Patty
No,
Neufeld?
Patty Neufeld.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. There you go, Patty. You got the question.
Just a technique question for you, Wiles. I'm sure you probably told me this lots, but I have clearly forgotten it. But just talking about tackles, vertical setting, are you still teaching more of like a tempo lag set based on the landmark? Or I've seen, I follow Coach Paul Alexander on Twitter, and he talks a lot about spot setting. Are you still teaching the lag set, or are you more into spot setting?
Well, first of all, Pat, you got to know where the quarterback's going to be. Obviously, you do, okay? And then you want to straddle that line that's going to put you, that line that goes from the defensive end to the backside heel of the quarterback, okay? So now how fast is that defensive end? Now you have to compute that So Paul kind of, it ends up being the same thing. Paul ends up saying, okay, it's going to be a kick slide, or it could be a kick slide and a kick, okay? But that's about as much as it's going to be. That's going to put me straddling that line or getting on that spot. That's going to make that defender make a decision whether he's going to go inside or outside, okay? Now, how do you want to change that up, okay? How do you want to change that up, okay? I used to tell you guys, make a railroad track, okay, between your outside foot and the defender's inside foot, right? And then on your first kick, you take away half that distance. You take away half that distance, and then you start working back with your shoulders as square as you can keep them, right? And then you play football from there, okay? All right, or I would tell you guys what, to close the distance, right? Kind of slide and close the distance between you and that guy, right? So, and you always wanted to keep, I never wanted you to set the same way all the time. I wanted to give you different pass sets to use, right? So they wouldn't get keyed up on you.
Right, yeah.
My first one was you drew the line between that guy and the quarterback, and how are you going to get that line down the middle of your body? How's that line going to get down to the middle of your body? How are you going to get there? Are you going to come back and go out to get there? Right? Are you going to go out by kick, slide, kick, or kick, slide to get there? Or are you going to go up, take half of it away, and then come back and get on that line? How are you going to get on that line? Right? That's just really what feels comfortable to you, Pat. Okay? But I wouldn't keep doing the same thing time after time. I'd make you change it up, because they're going to key in. They're going to key in on you, So in my little head, my little brain, I think more going out and taking the space away from that guy. I think that you guys kind of do it the best at Winnipeg. I was watching film with Monty the other day, okay, in the little clinic that he gave last week, matter of fact. But you guys go out and you shorten the distance, right? So you can actually see the width of the pockets a lot different, right? Because you're going to go take that guy out a little sooner, right? I think that's a pretty good way to do it.
Even with a 3 there?
Well, with the 3 there, okay, you might have to, if you're going to do that, then the guard has to know. Because it's a TE. Okay, so if you're going to go out there and get that guy, then that guard has to be more aggressive on that 3 technique. Okay.
Right, and that's what I guess that's what I just said that earlier, vertical set with a 3 there. I just was wondering more if you're, as a tackle, do you want that tackle more tempoing his set to that DN, or do you just want him taking those like 2 vertical sets, dragging that hand, and he's playing.
Number one, how many TEs do they run, and is that going to be a threat in the quarterback land? Okay, if it's not, you do what you first said. Go get the tackle, go get the end. Let the tackle go get the end. If there's going to be a threat in those TEs all the time, okay, then I may have that tackle vertical set, with the inside hand. Be careful, and sometimes you don't even need to do that if the sun is coming your way. If the sun is coming your way, remember how we used to get the guard to overplay the 3 technique?
Yeah.
We wanted to stop the gap penetration. So if the sun is coming your way, okay, I'd have the guard overplay the 3 technique, stop the big gap penetration, okay, right? Because if you do that, you stop the TE. If they run the TE, the sun is going to be there. Now if the will linebacker comes, then obviously you guys know you got a 3-on-3 situation. But if the will linebacker ain't coming, then you guys automatically know you got a what? You got a 3-on-2 situation, which is what you want to get. You should never get us. I shouldn't say never, but it's actually be tougher to get when you get 3-on-2. So you have to play that game with your side of the line. Does that make sense? When is the center coming with me? When can the guy overplay the 3? When can I go jump, go 1 block the defense? When can I shorten that distance? Okay, the center's going away from me, run the man side. They run a lot of TEs. So I make it a little more vertical here this time. Okay, because why? Because they're running the TEs and I don't want to get picked. Okay, but that guard, if he's got the 3 technique, what do we tell the guards all the time? Stop the B gap penetration. Don't take the inside half of the defender. stop the B gap penetration. And you may have to adjust with him if he goes inside. But if you let the B gap penetrator come, it's going to be a nightmare. They're going to start running OTEs all day on you, right? That's going to be a pain in the ass. Well, I don't know if I helped you or just fucked you off, like I did when I was coaching you. So,
All the time.
hey, what's that?
Well, just take us through what the Cool Clinic is, Wiles, and a little bit about what.
The Cool Clinic, for you guys that don't know about it, and I'm pretty sure everybody has heard about it. This started way back in 1982 or 1983, somewhere back there. And there was 6 of us that were in McNally's office at the Bengals, and under the H Street Viaduct in Cincinnati, in an old Army hut-style building that was the Bengal football office at the time. Because Coach Brown, he believed that people were skunking other people, spying on him. So he put that whole facility there, right? Anyway, so people, and he built all these big hedges, had them all planted around the field so you couldn't see it. But anyway, that's where it was originally. So Jimmy called us and said, hey, you guys want to get together and talk some football? So I said, yeah. Right? So I went over. Paul Alexander went over. There was a guy named Fred Mariani from Long Island. And he went over. Okay. What is that? Jimmy, that's 4. 5 was Jake Hallam. Jake was the line coach at Kentucky at the time. Later on, he became a scout for the Cleveland Browns. Jake has since passed, God rest his soul. Right, that's 5. I can't think of that. Can't think of the 6th guy, but there were 6 of us. So we started to talk football, right? And then the next year, there was like 16 of us or 20 of us, right? So, oh my God. So then we moved it into the Bengal team meeting room. So then the next year, we got like 40 plus guys, maybe more. Okay, all by word of mouth. Okay. So now, Coach Brown and Mike Brown and, the Brown family, they thought we were giving away the Bengal secrets. Okay. So now we took it and we put it in the old Clarion Hotel downtown Cincinnati. Okay. And then more guys came. We got hundreds of guys to come. You know what I mean? They come from, then, we first had a lot of different, Jimmy's buddies were talking. Now we had the wide receiver coach from Michigan talk. I said, Jimmy, what the fuck's that guy doing here? Get that guy out of here. Oh, he talks about blocking the corners. Get that guy out of here. They don't want to hear that shit. They just want to hear about the guys up front. Okay, so it started like that, and then we turned it into the Friday night discussion was just the guys that were speaking. So we'd go down in the meeting room and we would just talk about things that we needed work with. Hey, how do you handle this? What are you teaching the guys on doing this? And people would come in and just listen to us. The next thing you know, you turn around, there'd be 100 some odd guys in the auditorium, and all we're doing is sitting here talking about problems that we have with our own guys. Okay, see if we can get those things straightened out. All right, so then we turned that Friday night thing into, okay, let's have, the guys are already here, right? So why don't we just have the college guys speak on Friday night? So then Friday night, okay, we had different colleges, okay, from across the states, right, to come down and speak, right, on Friday night. So we had that, okay, and then I got some of the CFL guys. I had Dan DeRaggio come down and speak. I had Mike Gibson come down and speak. I can't remember some of the other guys. They would come down, right, and from Crane, they'd come to the clinic before they had changed when their infinite wisdom changed the dates of the starting of the season, which is crazy. Okay, but they did it. So they would come down, a lot of the college, some of the high school guys would come down from Canada to the clinic. So we had, so we had the college guys speak, and then we added Pro Football Focus to it. Okay, and then Paul added different questions about, real different history questions. Okay, and then the pro guys spoke on Saturday. Okay, and then Pro Football Focus came in and they said, okay, we took the lunch break because they would go to lunch and they'd spend an hour and a half on lunch. So in order to prevent that from happening, We said, we're only going to make the lunch a half hour. And then Pro Football Focus, would buy 400 pizzas. Okay, so everybody got a pizza. Okay, so the clinic grew like that. And the guys that speak are very transparent. They tell you just what they're doing. There's no bullshitting. You know what I mean? You could see that what they were telling you, you could see it on the tape. Okay. And so I would just get the pro guys, okay, to come and talk on Saturdays. Okay. And Jimmy, he would always talk, and Paul would always talk. So I go get 4 other guys and make it 6. And I would always give them something. Okay. And some years I would talk. Okay. And so that's how it all started. And it just grew. I mean, one year we had over 400 guys from 211 different universities from 43 different states and 6 different countries. Okay, it was amazing. Okay, then we publish a handbook at a clinic. Okay, so you can buy the handbook. Okay, and you get the T-shirts and the polo shirts and coffee mugs and all that stuff. Put that picture back up, Paul. Put that picture back up. So the guys on it this year. Okay, I got the line coach. Okay, Joe Gilbert from Tampa Bay that won the Super Bowl. All right, the guy in the right-hand corner, Kyle Flood, he was at Alabama last year. They won the national championship. He's now the OC with Texas. And the guy in the middle with the headset on, that's Greg Strada. He's the offensive line coach for Ohio State. Alex Mariball, all right, he's the offensive line coach at Oregon. Right, and the guy on the left near the Pro Football Focus sign, Herb Hanning, he was at Texas last year. He's at University of Central Florida. And you got Dante Scanecchia from New England, right? Bobby Johnson from Buffalo, right? You got Keith Carter from Tennessee, Joe Thomas, everybody knows Joe, right? You got Jimmy, right? Paul Alexander, myself. It's a pretty good lineup. If you want to learn, okay, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I have a question and answer period this year. So they're going to speak for an hour plus, okay, and then I'm going to move them into a room, okay, where they're going to be able to, if you want to go follow them and get your questions answered. And then you can come back for the next speaker. It's going to be up, so if you join or you get on, okay, it's going to be up for at least 3 weeks. So if you miss it or you paid and you couldn't make it, okay, it's going to be up there for 3 weeks. You can watch anytime you want for 3 weeks. You can watch it for a whole year if you want. There's a package you can buy and doing that. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put it up tomorrow, is I'm going to take it and I'm going to add Thursday night to it. So I'm going to add another night. So you're going to get guys on Thursday night. You're going to get 4 guys on Friday night. You're going to get 7, 8 guys on Saturday. You know what I mean? So you're going to have a lot of offensive line play. And the neat thing is about it is it's not, they give you all good fundamental stuff that you can use. They may give you some plays, but they give you a lot of good fundamental things that you can use. And I don't care what level you're on, it doesn't matter. You know, so that's Paul. Can I put everybody to sleep? Everybody go home?
Who's next for the question? You got time?
Okay, to ask questions, guys.
How much time did you say, Paul, we've got?
Well, we can take another one or so.
We're not staying till 2 this morning?
It's a lot tougher on Wild. He's the one that has to answer all the questions.
If you got questions, it's okay. It's all right, guys. I mean, if you got football questions, you got whatever it is. You know, I always got the one we talked about earlier. How'd you get into pro football?
Let me just see here. There was one.
How'd you stop flying airplanes? That's another.
So, hey, Wiles, going with, expanding the dish and stuff with an inside move, how do you feel about dropping the post foot for an inside move when you're doing that? Kind of like what you were talking about with Patty.
Yeah, well, if you watch your players, okay, right, some of them do it as much as you keep the post foot and keep the post foot up, okay, right, and the more film you watch, when that guy makes the inside move, and it's not so much dropping the post foot. It's not a drop. How do I want to say it? You're moving it back, right? Like it now becomes the kick step. Okay, but you're keeping your inside hip square because you can move faster that way than you can if you try to keep the inside leg up. Because when you keep the inside leg up, what happens with your hands? You go post, power, right? And then your hands keep going with the defender, right? And your hip starts to get locked. So then what your brain says, oh my God, right? I got to stay on this guy. So what happens is you take that leg down, that inside foot, and you drop it underneath yourself. And when that happens, you open your left hip. Okay, so when you open your left hip, you start losing a whole lot of strength. You guys see me do that drill, you guys, how I have them open their inside leg and point it to the wall and put their hand on me and push. You have no strength. Okay, that's what's happening to you. Okay, so now that guy, the best thing you can do is tackle him, hold him. Okay, but if you drop that inside foot a little bit, and now you start going into the kick slide, going inside, because now the guy's becoming a 3 technique on your inside, you can move faster with that guy. Okay, I think that's a good thing. But the key is you have to keep the inside hip square. You have to keep your hips square to the line of scrimmage. Okay, if you open your hips, okay, you're going to have a problem. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think that's the key thing right there is the hips. So I hope that answers your question, Ken. Ken had that one on YouTube. So if anybody else has a question, guys, just go ahead and unmute yourselves and ask the question. Rick, if you had one, go for it.
Coach Wylie, thanks again for all the time you've given us. Some of us guys here in Canada, we're talking right now. Where do you think football is going to go in the next few years? You spoke a little bit about the language that you and Howard rewrote in your manuals and stuff. What would you advise some of the young high school coaches and minor coaches to? I know you've talked a lot about making the game fun and showing the players you care, but what other things do you think we need to do, even from maybe a management level and stuff, to continue to make football viable and stuff as we move forward? Obviously, COVID and concussion stuff.
I the concussion stuff, keeping your head out of it, I think that's a viable thing. The head's going to be involved, but it's impossible to keep it on 100%. It's going to get involved in the block. I think the coaches, what you guys doing of educating the youth football coaches, okay, and then the junior high school coaches and the high school guys, educating those guys, okay, on the proper fundamentals of the game. I think that's a big plus for you guys to do that. Okay, however you educate those guys, right, the proper way to do it, right, to prevent, that the kid body works the best way. Teach them how the kid's body works. Teach them what positions the kids need to be in. You know what I mean? I think when you start doing that at the youth level and they start learning it correctly and it works its way up, right, through the junior high schools and then through the high schools until it gets to university levels. Okay, I think that's one of the major keys, okay, of teaching them fundamentals of football, teaching them, the sportsmanship of the game. You know what I mean? I heard this comedian the other day said, I don't know what game we were watching. Years ago, when somebody would get hurt on the field, you know what I mean? The guys would go, hey, grab that, knock that son, get the right that son, we'll put you off the field. Put somebody else out there, let's go. They don't do that now. Okay, somebody gets hurt, they kneel down, they grab each other's hands, they say a prayer. You know what I mean? The game has changed from the violent, gladiator sport that what there was thought about. They almost stopped football back in the it was the early 1900s, I guess, college football, because there was over 600 deaths in the game. 600 people died playing football one year. People would come to the games to see who was going to get killed. That's crazy, right? And then Teddy Roosevelt got all the athletic directors together and he said, you guys going to fix this? Okay? Or I'm going to cut out football. You're going to fix it, right? Or I'm going to cut, we're going to stop with it. Football is going to be illegal. You can't be able to play football. Right? So they found a way, they fixed it, and they came up with 76 or 75 different rules on how they were going to fix the game of football. So it's and 25 or 22 or 25 of those rules are still in effect today. So there's a book called The Big Scrum. The Big Scrum, how Teddy Roosevelt saved football in the States. It's kind of worth buying and reading it. Really eye-opening. So I think if you start teaching the youth football guys, the junior high school guys, everybody starts learning the good fundamental ways of doing it, making it fun for the kids to play. Now, I'm saying making it fun. They got to work. There's a way that they have to work. They got to put the time in. You know what I mean? They got to put the time and effort and practice. I mean, and you got to push them. Okay, you got to push them. But it can't always be the knockdown, drag out, kill them every day stuff. You can make them physical and they don't have to kill each other. Okay, that can happen. Right? You see the line that created in the Winnipeg, right? When we started to put that line together, Paul was there from the beginning. Okay, we started to put that line together and created the culture with those guys. Okay, that they didn't have there. Okay, why did I kept talking to them about it. Okay, but I would go find the players. Okay, the physical guys. The physical guys that wanted to strike somebody. Okay, right? You need those guys in the room, right? And they're going to set the bar. The other players are going to have to come up to that level to survive, to play the game. Okay, they're going to have a little nasty stuff in them. Now some guys play the game and they play it pretty good, but they don't have that little nasty streak in them. Doesn't mean they can't play, but that's just the way that kid plays. But it is a physical, violent game, and right, they got to be trained. Okay, but you can't kill them. You can't kill them. There's a point in time where you may have some one-on-ones. Okay, you may have it inside one period. Some of the team periods may be live, may be tackling. Okay, but keep talking to them about physical. This is what I tell them: be poised, be physical. Okay, and finish everything you do. Be poised because it's not always going to go the way you want it to go. Never does. It's not always going to be like we draw it up. You got to make adjustments. Okay, be physical because it's a physical game. Okay, and then finish everything you're doing. Whatever you're watching tape, finish the tape. Right? You're studying, finish studying. Okay, you're blocking somebody, finish the block. Whatever you're doing, finish it. Period. Okay, I think you have to instill that stuff in them. You have to instill, okay, the chemistry that you're creating with the whole team together, right? You have to understand, okay, listen to your players. They're playing, you're not playing. All right, answer their questions. If you don't have the answer, find the answer. Okay? I think all that stuff plays a part of it. It's, you know what I mean? It's not, they have to participate in it. They have to participate in some of the decision-making processes. All right? Because sometimes they come to the sideline and they say, hey, coach, this ain't working. I need, okay, do it. Okay? Those type of things. The meeting, I think what happens sometimes that the parents get involved in it. You know what I mean? So you got to keep the parents up to date on what's going on. If you have those parent associations that get involved, with the game. Why isn't little Johnny playing? I'm not one of the big fans, and I'll be up front with you guys. Some organizations, little Johnny, oh, don't worry, he's going to get to play so many plays during the course of the game. I'm not under that thing at all. If little Johnny sucks, little Johnny ain't playing. Okay? If little Johnny wants to play, then little Johnny better practice and get better so he can go out there and play. Okay? That's the way I look at it. Some organizations don't, some organizations give trophies and ribbons and stuff to everybody. I don't believe in that. Where else can you go and get a ninth place swimming ribbon? Who the fuck wants to tell you finish ninth? I don't, that's not me. Okay. I have a thing on that. I'll tell you a quick story. So you guys, got time for quick stories. I don't have a lot of stories. I'm trying to make the baseball team in the town I grew up in. There's only one league, and you got to be pretty damn good. So they have tryouts. Because everybody in the town is only one league. Right? So if you make one of those teams, so they have tryouts. So I make the first cut, and they have a farm system. I make the first cut. I make the second cut. I was a catcher. I make the third cut. Right now, I'm starting to feel pretty good. When catcher, I can hit the ball a little bit. I had a decent arm. I get the ball to second base. So I was feeling pretty good about myself. The last cut I get cut. Oh, I was pissed. I might have been 12, 14 years old at the time, somewhere around there. Right? Oh, I was mad. Right? So I go home. I'm sitting on the bed, and my dad comes into the room. And he goes, "What's the matter?" It's like, "I got cut today." "You got cut?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Maybe you should practice more." And he walked out of the room. It wasn't, "Don't worry, Bobby. Everything's going to be fine. It's okay." There was none of that shit. Okay? He said, "Maybe you should practice more." And he walks out. I said, "Son of a gun." Right? Well, fast forward 40 years, somewhere around there, 30 years, whatever it was. We're playing the 49ers. So I get dressed early. I go to the field. I talk to some of my buddies that coach on the 49ers staff. And then I hut up Jerry Rice. And I said, "Jerry," I said, he goes, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" I said, "Good." I said, "Yeah, ask you a couple of questions if you don't mind." I said, "No, go ahead." I said, "When it's all said and done, you're going to be one of the best players ever to play the game." I said, "How do you prepare? How do you get yourself ready? What is it that you do?" He says, "Coach, to me, it's really simple. If you want to get a little better, work a little harder." Done. I said, "Oh my God, my dad said that, I don't know, 35 years plus ago." You know what I mean? Hey, maybe you should practice more. So I think that if you want to be a better coach, work a little harder at it. Okay? If you want to be a better player, work a little harder at it, guys. Right? The more you work at something, the better you're going to get at it. Most of us anyway. I'll give you a great example. Joe Gilbert, the offensive line coach, right, for Tampa Bay. One of his two line coaches. They chose one of the two. Okay? Right? From when I first met him, he was coaching at Northeastern University down in Boston, in the middle of the city of Boston. I don't even think they have football anymore. So Joe would come and visit me all the time. He'd visit me at the Jets, wherever I would go. Joe would show up. You know what I mean? Right? And he worked his butt off all the different places that he went to. Okay, he went to Maine, he went to Houston, he went to University of Central Florida, he went to Arizona. I mean, he was all over the place. Okay, and finally, his whole goal, he wanted to get into the National Football League. And he finally made it in. Okay, I think he got in with the Colts. He finally did it. You know what I mean? And he still works at being a good football coach. And now he's got a Super Bowl ring. Here's a great example of a guy that was relentless about trying to get in and become a professional football coach. Now, some guys don't want to do that. Some guys are happy in where they're coaching and what they're doing. That's okay. That's okay. As long as you're having fun at what you're doing and the players are, right, and you're having success, that's okay. Not everybody can do all the other stuff. Some guys just fall into it. So to go back to your original question, Coach, anything that you do that makes it fundamentally sound and fun for them to play and work at the same time, right? Because it's not always going to be fun. Those drills, right, when they're kicking your shit out of you, they're not fun, okay? But you run, you get back up and you do it again. Right? You're teaching that to the kid. You know, it's more what happens to you in life. You get knocked down, you get back up. Right? I think that's one of the greatest things you can teach the individual. You know, make sure that they all understand the rules. Make sure they're all doing. Make sure that the playing fields are level as best you can. You know, some teams are better than other teams. What else you got?
Thanks, Coach. We got another one here. One of our coaches asked. I've seen a lot of O-line terminology when I look at on YouTube and NFL playbooks and stuff. How much of that actually applies in the game, and how do you make sure your players are retaining that information?
The O-line terminology, I think most of the teams they all have different ways of calling formations and motions and shifts and doing those type of things. Okay. Right, so the playbook terminology shows up every day in the game. Every time on the practice field. You know, when you go into practice, when you're in meeting rooms, I'll just give you go double wing right, far double wing right, you go ace right, you're in ranger, you're doing all that. All the different teams you go to, they got different most of them have different ways of doing the same thing. I mean, I was with a team, and we call the inside zone play, the original inside zone play, way back with the Bengals was called 16. That was the original inside zone play. I was 16. Okay. Then you go to another place. All right, I go to another place and they call it 40 gut or 20 gut. Same play, same exact play, but they got a different way to say it. Okay. Then you go to another place and they give it a different name. Right? It doesn't matter what you call it. It really doesn't. It's what you can get. It's what you understand and what you can get the player to understand. So all this terminology, and they got the best terminology and the best way to do this. Okay, it really doesn't matter. It's what you can get the player to understand is the best thing to do, whatever that is. My terminology when I coach the offensive line, my backside calls are A, B, C, and D. I've been doing that for years. The gap, you heard gap on the front side, ace, deuce, straight, quad, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Those are front side terms, backside terms. Things you did when you were in the 4th grade. Right? Hey, little Johnny, show us how you count to 4, or show us how you count to 10. I don't give a fuck if you count to 10. I want to be able to go 0, 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's as far as I need you to go. 0, 1, 2, 3. If you get to 4, that's a bonus. 10, forget fucking 10. I don't care if you count to 10. But all that stuff, if you got my offensive line manual, all that stuff is based on stuff that you did when you were in grade school. Seriously, when you were in grade school, that's the stuff it's based on. The protection calls, the rights and lefts, right? Right and left words. Whatever begins with an R and an L, right? The protection, and they say, oh, the other teams are going to find out. No, I don't give a fuck. Why? Because we pass calls and running a football. We do that. We'll make a set of pass calls and we'll run the ball. When they say, oh, it's a pass, great. We'll run the outside zone play. We'll make the same calls. Some of the calls overlap. Some of the calls are actually run and pass calls. So when I'm making a call, it could be a run, it could be a pass, same call. So if you get calls like that, I don't care. They can listen. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. It matters to me is if they know the snap count. It matters to me if they know the audible system. Those things, those things are, what you don't want them to know. Okay? If they're listening for line calls and they're listening for all that shit, right, then they're not playing football. They're trying. You got them doing something else. Train them so that when the ball snaps, they play football.
While even like the old line manual and stuff, anytime something new comes up and you have to come up with terminology, you'll add it to the book. But there's still always just the core ones that you use all the time. And if a situation comes back up, it's like your reference right? You can always go back to the old line manual, how you called it and stuff. So there's still
Yeah.
always core, right?
You have a set of ways that you do it, okay? And in our playbook, we write up the rules for the playbook. Everybody does, right? For your position, for the plays, what the tackle does, what the guard does, what the center does, backside guard, backside tackle. So you have all these rules. I kind of like Michael's don't cover, uncovered, one door. So we have all these rules, and you have your line calls in there, okay? So, right, but it doesn't explain what the line call is, because you don't have enough room to do that. Just physically don't have enough room on the pages to do that. Correct? The playbook would be 500,000 pages long, right? So I take it and I say, okay, in the offensive line manual, so if you don't know what the call is, go to the offensive line, right? Go to the index. The index is going to tell you the section and the page that it's on. And you just go to that, and now you can read, okay? Right? And now what happens, we get it into the computer, okay? So that if they want to look it up on the computer and they find a line call, right? They can actually click on it, okay? Right? They can get the definition and stuff when they see it, and they can click on it'll say video, or it'll have the Red Blacks logo, and you click on it, and then the video comes up, and now they can watch 3 or 4 shots of it. So they can not only read about it, okay, they can see what it looks like, okay, and then they can go back and study the play again. So now they saw the line call, they looked it up, they saw it, they can keep on working, getting better. So that's how. See, I think the way I do it, okay, you come to the line of scrimmage and you identify who the mic is. That's the first thing you do. Right? They identify who that guy is. So everybody knows the next guy outside of him is the Sam, next guy outside of him is the Will, so on and so forth, Right? So that's the first thing. And then you're going to decide who the 0 guy is. So somebody's going to be 0. So whoever that guy is that you're going to make 0, the next guy's 1, the next guy's 2, the next guy's number 3. Then the backside, number 1, number 2, number 3. That's it, done. So you've numbered the defense, right? You really don't care when they line up. You just number the defense. 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's it. In your playbook, it says block 1, block 2, block 3. And it'll give you a little description. Block 1, center uncovered, blah, 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 all that shit, okay? You know what I mean? So the line calls, okay, they just take out the gray areas. I'll give you, for instance, we come to the line of scrimmage, okay? You got a 42 defense, you're running the inside zone play to the right, okay? So the quarterback identifies the linebacker, the call side linebacker. Now that's the mic, okay? He's also the 0 guy by what we know, okay? And then the guy in the guard is number 2, and then the guy in the tackle is number 3. So you got 0, okay? No, I'm sorry. That's 0. The guy in the guard is number 1. The guy in the tackle is number 2. And then number 3 is outside someplace. He may be on the third receiver in, but he's outside somewhere. Whoever that number 3 guy is, the Sam. Let's say it's the Sam. He's out there. He's number 3. If we had a tight end, we say in the zone schemes, the tight ends always block number 3 in the zone schemes. They're always block number 3 in the zone schemes. So you number in the defense, 0, 1, 2, 3. Tight end has 3. Maybe the receiver has 3, right, if you're playing with those guys. So for the box, now there's a 3 technique and 0 is inside the 3 technique. Oh, that's nice. Okay, kind of vanilla. But now they take the 3 technique and they make them a 1 technique, right? And they put 0 right outside the 1. And the center's saying, well, my rule says block 0. But 0's over there. How the fuck am I going to get that done? Right? And the guy's saying, well, that's 0. I got 1. He's right here. Right? So they make a call that allows them to work together to block number 1 to 0. So the line calls just clear up the gray areas. So as long as they know who they have, right? As long as they know who they have, then the line calls just clear up the gray areas for them. That's all. That's all we're doing. That makes sense? I mean, it's not, it really, I may have made it more difficult explaining it than it really is. You know, we teach them how to number the guys. That's their guy. Now, you know, I always give them a progression when they come to the line of scrimmage, right? When the quarterback calls the play, who do I have to block, right? The second question, what can the defense do to me in the configuration that they line up in, right? The right side sees a pitcher, the left side sees a pitcher, the center puts it all together. What can the defense do to me? Okay, and then how am I going to get the job done? Every play, you ask yourself those three questions. Okay, so how am I going to get the job done? Right? What line calls? What foot am I going to step with? Where do my eyes and hands go to get this thing blocked? How am I going to do this? That makes sense.
What page do they have to be on, Wiles?
Well, they have to be on the same page.
Same page.
Or the right page or the wrong page. They have to be on the same page. And you got a chance that it's going to work. You know, if some of them are on the right page and some of them on the wrong page, probably going to get ugly. It's probably not going to look really good. You know,
Someone's slipping through.
you'll probably be shaking on your head saying, you know how you coach them up and then you look out there and you say to yourself, what the fuck are they doing? You know, that thought process runs through your mind sometimes, right? Why the hell did he come up with that shit? You know what I mean? So that, you know, but if they're all on the same page, there's a chance you can get it to actually work, you know?
Yeah.
You say, oh, I could be on the right page. Yep, that's really good. If you get them all on the right page, that's excellent. But sometimes they all get on the wrong page and it still works.
You guys
Coach,
have
one
a
that got
question?
missed here back a while ago. Yeah. Sorry, what do you got, Sharps?
You got it. You got it. Go for it.
All right, we've got so zone or gap scheme preference. And then how does the extra yard off the ball and Canadian ball affect each scheme?
Zone or gap scheme, we came up with the zone schemes years ago, okay? Years and years ago, because we found we wanted to rep plays, okay? Because the amount of time we spend on the field with the guys, you know, we don't spend an exorbitant amount of time on the field with the guys, okay? So we wanted to rep plays that you could do over and over and over again, whether you ran them to the right or ran them to the left, to the tight end side or to the open end side. And we said it, we did it like this. We said 8 guys did the same thing and 3 guys did something different. 8 guys did the same thing and 3 guys did something different. Okay, so you got better. Zone schemes give you the least amount, usually gives you the least amount of minus yardage plays. So we always talked in the back about negative plays. Right? We don't want no negative plays, no negative runs. At least get back to the line of scrimmage. Zone plays give you the ability to do that. Right? So you go 1st and 10, right? And you get back to the line of scrimmage and you get 2nd and 10. Right? But the next play you run, right, and you gain 4 yards. So now you're in 3rd and 6. So we always like to live in a world of 3rd and 4 to 6. You know, but if you lost 2 yards, okay, if you lost 2 yards, now you got a problem. You know, so we didn't want to, you know, just get us back to the line of scrimmage. Zone plays gave you the best. You could repeat them. You could use the same techniques for different positions. Like, you know, on the right guard, okay, say the right guard is working a Philly technique because of the shade with the center, okay? Right, well, let's just say that the center has a problem with a guy in the backside gap and the backside guard needs his help, okay? No, so we make what we call a nudge call. So he's telling the backside guard, okay, I'm going to give you some help on this guy before I leave. It's the exact same technique, right, that the right guard used. Exact same technique. Okay, but the center's doing it, okay? So the techniques overlap each other in certain places. Let's just say that the front side tackle, because the tight end's on that side now, right? Right, he has to help the guard because the 3 technique is too wide where the backer is, okay? So he says, okay, I got it. the guy's going to need help on this. The guy's calling for help. So we make a bump call. And he's using the exact same technique, okay, that the guard used on Philly, that the center used on Nudge. Same technique. So when I'm teaching it, okay, they're all going to use it someplace at some time. So those things make it beneficial for the zone schemes. Okay, right? The yard off the ball, you got to kind of be patient now. But you can't come just flying off the football, okay, with that yard because there's some wiggle room, okay, that they can make you miss. Okay, now depending on what plays you're running, you know, the inside zone, the outside zone play, you know, now they got all kinds of different names, so that fucks me up. You know, we just had the one inside zone play, and then we came up with 14, which is the tight end inside zone play. And then we had we call it, and Alex Gibbs called it stretch for years. Okay, and that was the one where we ran it at the ass of the tight end. Okay, or the ass of the ghost tight end. Okay, and that was 18. Okay, we just called that was the stretch play. Right, and then somebody decided to call, well, that's the wide zone play. And then somebody said, well, no, now you got the outside play where the back's trying to get around the defense. You know what I mean? And I got all those other things. When we first started, you know, we had the inside zone play, we had the outside zone play, that's it. That's all we had. You know, we call it the outside zone play, but it was actually the stretch play at the tight end. It's only two we had. You know, they seem to work pretty good for years. You know, so that the yard off the ball give the defense a little wiggle room. So you gotta kind of, you're still coming off the ball. Well, you may end up taking shorter steps, pattering your feet, okay? So you kind of get a feel of what the defense is trying to do to you, right? What's the defense trying to do to me here, okay? Now, I think on the outside play, or the wide zone play, whatever we call that, I'm just going to call it stretch play. The stretch play, we're running at the ass of the tight end, okay? On that play, right, or you don't, like in the inside zone play, if the guy slants on the tackle, right, and the guard's uncovered, well, he needs to bring that guy back to the guard. He can't just let that guy go to guard, because he's going to ricochet himself off the guard's shoulder or bounce himself into the play. So you have to tough that guy back to the guard. Don't turn your shoulders. Don't let your outside hand caught the midline of your body. Bring him back with your feet. Keep your shoulders on the same angle as the back. The ball's going to go outside. Get your eyes on the backer as soon as that guy starts to cross your face. You don't even have to look at that guy anymore. Just get your eyes on the backer and find out what the linebacker's doing. Okay? Find out what his intentions are. Okay? And stay in that angle. He's going to come to you because the ball's going outside. Okay? Right? So that's the inside. Now on a stretch play, okay, that guy goes inside, you just shove him with one hand and keep on going. You know what I mean? The guy goes behind you, right? It's somebody else's problem. You know what I mean? Right? The ball carriers, right? That guy goes inside, that ball carrier is going outside if he's worth any shit at all. Right? If they're trying to run with you for the sideline, okay, then you're running with them. You don't have to knock them off the ball. You don't. Right? All you need to do is get on them and run with the guys. Come off the ball, get on them and run with the guys. I remember Alex saying, I'm blocking the outside half of this guy. I'm blocking the outside half of this defender. I want to get my body on the outside half of that guy. Okay, on that stretch point. Okay. Right. And then your buddy inside, right? He'll take the inside out. He'll take anything that shows inside. But if that guy disappears inside, don't worry. The ball's going outside someplace. So that's how. Now you may have a problem. You know, if you got the man side, say the center and the guard are working together, and you're running the outside play, okay, and now, you know, if the center and guard have to work together for whatever reason, okay, and you're running the tackles by himself, right, and that defensive end sometimes jumps around the tackle, that kind of causes a real problem sometimes. Okay, you know, you heard Mike talk about, hey, you got that wide one technique, or you know, on the guard That's the center's guy. That guy's working with the tackle. That guy going out there. So if anything happens with the tackle, where he's working with the tackle, if not, he's going to go get the backer. Right, Sonny, you're all by yourself to get that guy. You got to go get that son of a bitch. That's why they use 18-inch splits, because that can happen at 18-inch splits. If you're going to go 2 foot to 2.5 feet, you're asking for problems. Now the gap scheme plays, right? On the gap scheme plays in the NFL, we used to move our guys up on the ball, get up on the ball. Okay, in the gap zone scheme plays, we get them off the ball. Okay, now in Canada, right, the yard off the ball, right, you've given us what we need for the zone. Now the gap scheme plays, we have to gain a little ground on the gap scheme. We're going to keep, I think on the gap scheme plays, the critical thing on the gap scheme plays, I believe, is the double team keeping your line of force parallel to each other. All right, keeping your line of force parallel to each other. However you get them there. Right, the inside guy has to hold the vertical line. The outside guy has to hold the vertical line. Right, and you don't want any splittage between those two guys. If you can do that, right now, I never have the guard go out. So if he's got a wide technique on him, right, and we're running a double team, the tackle has to make the adjustment, not the guard. Right, I want the guy, he may end up taking his inside foot up, putting it straight up and down, right, and rolling off his outside leg. But he's going to go straight up the field with the outside leg. He's not going to step out to the tree technique. Okay, he's not going to do that. The tackle has to make the adjustment to take most of that guy, or take whatever's left. Okay, I try not to give him percentages, half, 7. That screws me the fuck up. Okay, take what's on the left. What I care about, right? Right, God, you do the same thing. Tackle, you make the adjustment. So you get hip to hip with that guy, right? And you keep your line of force going parallel to each other, period. Okay? If the defense slants, okay, you take them. Defense starts the other way, tackle, you take them. Do all that stuff. I mean, know if the linebacker's running through, because the tackle can't see that. Okay? So the guard, there's going to be some communication. If the linebacker's running through, the backside linebacker's running underneath it, okay? And tackle, right? He can't see that. Okay, so the guard's got to tell him. So we have that communicated to the tackle, because the tackle may have to make an adjustment, knowing he's going to be losing his guard. Okay, make that adjustment. If you're trying to stand up and you're looking back there as a tackle, you're probably going to get your ass knocked back by the defender. Okay, so we do that. Now, when do you get off to get the backer? When the double team, right? When you get to the linebacker depth, or the linebacker gets to you, because they could be playing downhill to try to stop you from staying on the double team too long. So they may be playing downhill, right? So you have to know that, okay? The other thing I may do that may be different than some of the other guys, but we don't try to pin the backside linebacker. We really don't, okay? My backside linebacker, we're going to start the double team, okay? Right, and I'm going to spend as much time as I can on that guy, okay? Right, so we're trying to hit the backside linebacker on the backside number, okay? We're not trying, we're going to try to get up, spread over him on the backside number. We're not trying to turn and fit him inside, because we don't want anybody, we don't want anything to run underneath us. If they run over the top, that's okay. If they're running over the top, they're losing ground. Then we'll just adjust, right? And we'll maybe hitting the backside number and pushing them by, and the ball may come behind it that way. Okay, so we do some of those types of things, but the critical thing is keeping your line of force parallel, right? Keeping it parallel, So the gap schemes can cause you problems with minor yardage plays, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong, right? You got the center blocking back, you know what I mean? Right? You got the center, you got the guard pulling, you got the defensive end crashing, you got, you may pull the tackle in the guard. Now, who's going to handle the backside? The quarterback reading the backside edge. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different little things that can cause you to have more minus yardage plays than I think in the zone schemes. Do I think you need the gap schemes? Yes. Because people thought when we ran the weak side, when we ran the two-back weak side inside zone play in the National Football League, like when we ran that play, you know, people would say, they say, what's the counterplay to that? Or is the outside zone play? No. When we ran that play, the actual counterplay, right, to that play, right, was running a counterplay the opposite way. That was the counterplay to that play. Why? Why was that the counterplay to that play, you're gonna ask me? Well, it almost starts to look the same with the backstop, okay? You know, we almost had, we didn't, our back were a little different, but when the play started, it almost looked like it was gonna be the same inside zone play, okay? And the center's coming back, the backside double team, right, on the counterplay, right, is very similar to the backside double team on the zone play. Don't we? So we're trying to create, you know, conflict of assignment things with those guys, right? So people didn't understand that for a while, you know. They asked us, we ran the inside zone play with two backs, the open end, but the parent play to that, the companion play to that, was the counter play going the other way. You know, it wasn't, you know, another zone play going the other way. It was a counter play going the other way. That was the companion play when we first started it. That's a history lesson for you. So to answer your question, I think there's always give you least amount of negative plays than the gap scheme gives you. Do I like the gap schemes? I'll tell you another. When I was at the Raiders, we led the league in rushing after the first 7 games with McFadden. We ran his zone schemes. Okay, McFadden got hurt. We put Michael Bush in. Michael Bush ran the gap schemes better, right? So people say, well, you got guys that the offensive linemen are zone scheme guys, or they're built to run the zone plays, and you got guys that are built to run the gap scheme plays. I don't believe in that shit. I think offensive linemen can be what they need to be when they need to be it. I really believe that, right? They can be what they need to be when they need to be it. Because we went to running the gap schemes, the weak side gap schemes, the strong side gap schemes, power schemes, right? Michael Bush ran for 977 yards in 9 games. You know, so we went completely changed from being a zone team to being a gap team, middle of the fucking season, because we had to. So, do I think you need them? Yeah, I think you need them.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
It's okay, guys. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm here at my mother's. I don't have to go anywhere. Paul asked me to talk about the difference. If I want me to talk about it, Paul, it's up to you guys. The difference between a dual and a saw.
I think Craig's about to jump on there. I think Craig Smith has a question for you.
Okay.
I was just going to ask, you know, when I was with Winnipeg, McManus used to take me down to the offensive line room to get the good snacks. And
yes.
Yeah. But I, you know, this week I talked with Rick Saratella in the morning, and you brought up how you got hurt. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that you got hurt. And then you brought up a story with regards to the Christmas tree to the hospital. Can you talk a little bit about that with regards to how that happened, how you got hurt, and you know the Christmas thing as well?
Okay. In my meeting room, remember I tell you I create the chemistry in my meeting room?
Yeah.
Well, we celebrate every holiday. So first one comes up is Halloween. So Halloween, the room gets all decorated with, and they do a really great job at decorating the room. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so they decorated the room up, and we got candy dishes with different candies in it. Other positions would come and get a piece of candy. You know what I mean? People would come down, and so equipment guys would come over. You know, so it's a Halloween. So then we set the room up for Thanksgiving. We have turkeys, pitchers and streamers and all that stuff. And we have hay bales. And so we have it all set up for Thanksgiving. Okay. So Christmas comes and we have it all set up for Christmas. Candy canes. We have bowls of candy canes and stuff. So if the kids are around the building, they come down and get a candy cane or something, some jelly beans and stuff like that. So we set it all up for Christmas. Okay. And we have a Christmas gift exchange. We call it Dirty Santa. It's actually like a Kris Kringle. So we set on a dollar amount that we're going to pay for the gifts, everybody that's in the room. Okay. So we set on a dollar amount, and then you buy the gift, you wrap it up, right, and you stick it under the tree. So nobody knows what they are. Right. Then you put everybody's name on the board by seniority. How many years do you have in the league? You know, I mean, well, I was always the last guy, you know, so so the first guy grabs a package, he opens it up, okay, whatever one he grabs, right? Great. And the second guy grabs a package, he opens it up. If he doesn't like his, he can take the first guy's package, right? And it goes like that all the way through till it gets to me, then I can pick anyone I want. Okay, so they went out and so they decorated the whole room up. They went out and they got all these lights. They had all those palm trees all decorated with lights, right? They got a 12-foot Christmas tree. They decorated the tree up, all kind of lights and stuff on the tree, right? They did a great job with it. Honest to God, they did a beautiful job. We're playing the Bengals, second to the last game of the season. So we're going to practice. It's Thursday afternoon, right at the end of practice, just before we're going to team. So we have one-on-one pass pro, right? And we're going to go to the team, okay? And so I was going over to field 2, okay? And you know how they get divots they make with their feet, right? Well, I slipped on a divot. And it was like walking on a sidewalk when you lose your balance. Well, I never regained my balance. Okay, I went down. When I went down, I dislocated my right ankle. I broke the right leg, and my left leg went underneath me. And I tore all the tendons off my left knee. Okay, so now they're trying to get me stabilized. So they finally get me stabilized, and they get me in an ambulance, and they take me to the hospital. And luckily, our 2 orthopedic surgeons, we got 3 orthopedic surgeons, 2 of them are in the hospital at that time. They called those 2 guys, and they met me in the emergency room. Okay, when I got out of the ambulance, though, and I looked at them, right, because the trainer was with me in the ambulance. Okay, and I looked at them, right, and it gave me such a common feeling to know that those guys were there. Okay, and then they set the ankle right there on the gurney. Right, they took a needle, it was like this big, right? They stuck it into the ankle. Okay, and the guy says, I'll wait, you're gonna have to wait about 10, 15 minutes. I said, okay. So they did that, and then they reset the ankle. Then they took an x-ray of it, okay? And then they came to me and they said, look, he said, we can cast this, but it's gonna move. It went back, everything went back to where it's supposed to be. The break, the ankle, everything went back like a puzzle, which is the way it's supposed to be. But if I cast it, it's gonna move. He says it's better if we operate on it, and then we put the screws and the pins and stuff in it. And so I said, okay. So they did the operation, and they cast it, and they put me in the I woke up in the hospital room. Okay. And the next morning, they tried to get me out of bed. Okay. So I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to go back to work. You know, I can go coach on a golf cart. You know what I mean? You know, get crutches or put me in a golf cart because and I couldn't get out of bed. Okay. I couldn't push off my other leg. Could not get up and stand on with the other leg. Right. So they put me and they took me down. They put me on a stretcher. They took me down, getting on my wire, my left knee. And they found all the tendons were torn off the knee. Right. So they had to go back in and operate again.
Wow.
Okay? So then they come back and they told me, they said, look, they said, it's a non-weight bearing injury because both your legs, you can't put any weight on them for 8 weeks. So now I'm in a hospital bed for 8 weeks. Okay. So now after the 8 weeks go by, right, I stopped with this. And they came in, you like this one, they came in, they got these rubber bands. And I said, what do you guys do with those? Well, he said, you got to stretch. said, stretch. I said, obviously you haven't fucking seen hot dogs, have you? Right? They came in and got these rubber bands and then stretching. And then after 8 weeks, they got me up so I could stand. Right? And they got me in a wheelchair. Right? Then they're making me stand and then making me shuffle my feet, and then pick up one leg and then pick up the other leg. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, it's strange. If you haven't stood up and walked for 8 weeks, you lose it. Okay. Right? So I had to really learn how to walk again. Okay. And then how to bend my legs. You know, so the whole gambit. I went from the wheelchair to the walker to the cane. Okay. I went right through that process. Right. And then I spent 102 days in the hospital. Right. Then I got out of there. Right. And I had to go to outpatient therapy. Okay. So I was in the water for 2 days. Like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I went in the water. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I was on land. You know, so with the therapist. You know, so the first time I went in the pool, I said, "Oh, this is gonna be good." All the young mothers will be in there with all the babies and stuff. Hey, great. I got in there. I was the youngest guy in the class. You're gonna be kidding me. I got to remember this site for the rest of my life. Oh, shit. So I said, "Kerry, this is it. This is the last time I'm coming, right, to this pool." Right? Yes, it's just you and me in this pool. I said, "That's it." So I did that for 68 more days. Okay. Then I said, "That's it. I've had enough. I'm getting out of here." Right. Then I spent 38 more days or 48 more days, right? Only going 3 days a week on land. Right. So that's how it happened. Well, in the hospital, I'm watching, they're playing the Bengals. Okay. I'm watching the game. Right. So we beat the Bengals. J.C. Tritter, who is my center, and he's now the president of the Players Union, okay? He's running down the field. They just completed something now they just have to kneel on the ball to win the game. So he's running down the field, and he goes up to Baker, and he says, "Baker," because one of them was Mike. I don't know if J.C. was Michael Baker, right? He says, "Baker," he says, "give me the ball after we kneel down, and I got to take it over to Wilds." My nickname is, "I got to take it over to Wilds in the hospital." And he got that right on film. It was great. So Baker gets in the huddle, and he goes, "Okay, guys," he says, "after this snap," he says, "we're going to get the ball. We're going to bring it to Wilds at the hospital." Okay, good. So 90 minutes later, right, the offensive line shows up with the game ball, all of them in the hospital with the game ball. Right, that next Friday, right, we were supposed to have the Chris Goodall the next day. I could run on a Thursday, that Friday. So what the kids did is they canceled it. So we're not having it. We're not having it without you. Okay, so what they did is the following Friday, they brought everything into the hospital. All the gifts, they decorated the room, right? And we had it there in the hospital when I was in bed. Okay. That's when you know creating the chemistry, that's where it shows up. That's where you've done what you started out to do when they do that for you. So that's what I was talking about. When you create that type of chemistry, when you create that type of thing, and that room that I showed you was actually on the tour when they brought the sponsors in the off season. I was sitting in that room, okay? Because sometimes I like to get away from the guys upstairs. Right? Who's coming in? The phone ring. Who's coming in out of your office? Because I got a wine rack in my office, a big wine rack. They have 100 bottles of wine in it. I don't drink, so if they need a bottle of wine, they come and get it. So so I go downstairs to work. All of a sudden the door opens up. It's the guys from marketing, or some girl and a guy from marketing, and they're coming in. They got all these people. And they go, "Coach, we're sorry. We don't." I say, "Oh, don't worry about it. All right, come on in." So I made them all sit in those chairs. Right, I put up film. Right, and I showed, "Hey, this is what we do, guys. This is what it looks like. You see that shot there? Watch this kid here. All right, so." I think you do that room, the way it was set up. Other positions on Wednesdays, we'd always have pizza. Other positions, the defensive line, they come in and steal pieces of pizza. You know what I mean? So, there was always something. We had a coffee maker in that room. Okay, you want to get a cup of coffee? You don't have to go all the way to the cafeteria. Just come in and get a cup of coffee. People came in the room just to be in the room. That makes sense. That's what we created, that atmosphere. That's more important, right? Than if we're going to run the inside zone play. That really is more important. Okay. think like that, but that is more important. Once you've created that with them, right? Once you can show them that you can make them better and you're not full of bullshit, especially those guys. You know, I said, guys, you guys don't have real jobs. I said, yeah, you know, you go get a real job and you're going to go bounce a basketball in the gym, you ain't going to make $3.8 million a year. I promise you're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So you want to keep these jobs as long as you can. And as long as I can make you better, okay, and you getting better, they'll do anything for you. They really will. Right? So that's what I tried to create. That's how that all happened.
That's awesome. Good question, Craig. Thanks, Coach. I think at this point, at about 12 minutes after 10 here on the East Coast, we're gonna say goodnight to the YouTube live people. Don't forget to give Paul a like on the thumbs up on the channel. We want to thank Coach Wylie for joining us tonight and answering all these questions. Thanks, Paul Charbonneau, for setting it up, and everybody for tuning in. And we'll see you